Today we're taking you to Charleston, South Carolina to explore 5 uniquely personal homes that celebrate creativity, history, and Southern charm. First, we step inside a whimsical residence where every surface is transformed into a canvas of vibrant patterns and coastal hues, reflecting the joyful spirit of its artistic owner. Next, we visit a light-filled apartment that began as a blank slate but has been thoughtfully layered with thrifted treasures, cozy touches, and a sense of story unique to its creative couple. Then, a mother-daughter design duo takes us through a bold and maximalist new build, a true family project filled with meaning, personality, and shared vision. And from there, we're heading to a historic house that has been refreshed with sentimental artwork, heirlooms, and timeless details, creating a home that honors the past while embracing the present. And finally, we step into a refined yet modern Southern retreat that blends heritage and innovation, showcasing a lifestyle brand dedicated to elevating the art of welcome. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hey Homeworthy, I'm Sally and welcome to my home in Charleston, South Carolina.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, my name is Sally Bennett. I'm the owner and creator of Mirth Studio, and we're here at our farm. During COVID, we were all sort of crammed up in our house not far from here in Riverland Terrace, and we decided that we might want to change, and we were actually looking for waterfront, thinking that might be a fun change. And so we drove out here to look at a house that was on the market, and then we were driving back and my husband said, "Oh my God, that's the house." And I said, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "That's the one. It's a beautiful lot. It's 15 acres and has gorgeous trees and it has a really tiny house on it." I said, but that's not what we're looking for, 15 acres with a tiny house." And then I said, "But you know what, why don't you just back up? I just would like to see it." So we backed up and we peered over the fence, and I was like blown away by the alley of oaks and just the whole exterior. I guess, we moved in here with the idea. I told my husband, I said, "There's no way I can live in a 2-bedroom house. There's 5 of us in the family. It has 1 closet. This isn't going to work." But the property was so beautiful. He said, "Why don't we build?" And I was sort of promised a dream house. So we started that process. We actually got as far as hiring an engineer, and I was helping with the plans. And one day we just decided that we didn't have the heart for it. We didn't really want to build a giant house and be out here forever. So we scrapped that plan and we started the renovation. And so what we've done is we've added on, this is our sunroom. This used to be just a patio. So we added on this, and because we desperately needed closet space. So this was able to give us 2 closets. And then we just kept going and going and going. So when we first bought the house, one of the things that we liked about it is it had a working farm on the property. They were growing hemp. There's a barn it was basically just like a metal box that had no electricity, no windows. But we thought, oh, that's great. Let's let the hemp farmers stay and then they'll pay us rent. Well, that really never happened. Never really panned out. So then we took over the barn and I created the best studio ever. And I loved my studio until we decided that we also needed to have a rental unit. So you'll see, we've turned it into basically a 3-bedroom home down there. Here we are in our sunroom. This room did not exist when we bought the house. We actually added on, so the doors were kind of right there where the kitchen starts, and then there's just a small patio. But we needed some much needed closet space, so we figured we put these closets in, and then another closet as well, and pushed everything out towards the backyard. So we reused the same doors, and we just pushed them out onto the patio here. Everything in here is pretty much something that I've made from my company. We made the wallpaper. This is a lattice wallpaper. I really wanted it to feel like a garden room, a sunroom. It's like very traditional sunroom. We do a lot of sunrooms with our business because the flooring is very playful, and people don't necessarily want it all through their house, but if they have like a sunroom or a laundry room or a kitchen that they want to use something more whimsical, this is a good choice. So I definitely wanted our Mirth Studio flooring in this room. I didn't know it at the time when we started designing, but that I was going to get into the rug business too. So I also designed this rug. This is one of our new printed wool, and we're one of the only people in the US printing on wool, and so that's pretty exciting. A lot of the furniture in here is thrifted. The sofa and the coffee table are thrifted. I don't remember where they're thrifted from, but I remember I saw them and I had to have them. I absolutely love them, and they remind me of something that Celery Kemble would put in one of her spaces, and it's one of my favorite pieces I have. And then we reupholstered the cushions. They were not suitable. I love like vintage rattan, so we found these chairs that kind of fit there perfectly. But these have a funny story because I saw them, my daughter sent them to me. She had found them on Facebook Marketplace, and I thought she sent them to me because I designed the fabric, but she said, no, I just like them. So it turns out that back in the 90s, maybe even, early 90s, when I was working for Mimi Russell, I designed this fabric, and then it was printed and sold, and I moved on with my life. And then ended up buying these from somebody that's just like a mile away from here. And she had had them in her dorm room. And so I thought that was really crazy that I actually ended up with the same chairs that I designed the fabric. And the chandelier is kind of fun. I love vintage toll, and I hand painted all those lampshades. They each have a different bug on them. I think that was probably a suggestion again of my daughter, who comes up with really great ideas and says, hey mom, will you do this? Sometimes I wish that I didn't. It takes a long time, but they're pretty special. These doors are kind of fun because they're actually like pretty cheapies from Home Depot, but I liked that they had this glass. I was kind of trying to create the idea that there might be something beyond this room, but then they were a little bit boring. So then I hand painted all of these designs, which was actually a little trick, pretty easy to do. If you find botanical art, you can kind of stick it behind there and then it kind of use it as your tracing. So it was easy. This little table we found, again, thrifted, and then I hand painted it. My daughter and I had spent some time in India, and I just was really blown away with all the beautiful painting that you see, and I just kind of have brought that into my work. The other fun thing that we are selling at Mirth Studio are our valances and cornices. So that little striped awning that sort of gives you the feel of indoor, outdoor, or kind of a circus feel. That's something that we're making. They're made out of PVC, and then you can get them decorated in any color. And I kind of took a chance with my border in this room. I wanted to see some kind of a border, and I kind of may have gone too far with it or not. I don't know. I definitely like, trimming out the room and just giving it its own personality. This painting, I love this. This was my Mother's Day present this year, and I love it because it reminds me of our farm, and I can see like my husband there by the gates surveying the trees. But it's by a Czechoslovakian artist, and it was at the estate sale of my daughter's neighbor and very good friend who sadly passed this year, and we went to his estate sale and pretty much bought everything that he had. So our house kind of looks like his house now. When you enter the house, one of my favorite parts of this whole house is my custom-made gate that Carlos is my savior. He does everything for me here and makes all my dreams come true. And he told me one day that he knew how to weld, and I said, oh my gosh, well, let's make a gate. So we made the most beautiful gate, and so it opens and you're down the beautiful driveway. So entering the house is pretty stunning. And then it's kind of like, oh, here we are at a 2-bedroom cottage that was, built in 1950. It's to me, it's like very charming, and it's very European. Like, I feel like I always kind of wanted to live in Europe, and I kind of feel like I created a European lifestyle out here on Johns Island. So I kind of try to keep the cottage comfy cozy. When you walk in, there's really no grand foyer. There's no real entrance, because what was the entrance has now turned into my office, because we were in such dire need of space that we closed it in, and so now that entrance is actually my office. So the UPS guy gets a little confused when he's like trying to find the front door, but that's okay. And then we decided that the best view in the house was where I'm staring right now, which is back towards the barn and towards the back of the property. It's kind of a long rectangular property. And then we put in a pool and a pool house. And so we pretty much have like everything we need like right here. And if you continue back towards the property, then you find the barn, and we have a greenhouse and a couple other hoop houses. And I just wish I had more time to be a gardener, but it just hasn't happened yet, but one day. And we did a lot of work on the garden. My daughter has been digging and digging for days. So it's, it's really pretty. So right off the sunroom is the kitchen. The kitchen has gone through a lot of transformations lately. Recently, I decided, after I had done a lot of the decorative work in this house, that a white Home Depot shaker kitchen just wasn't working for me. So we made these really cool decals. So these are actually made out of vinyl, and so it's washable, and this is the same material that we use we make flooring decals, so it's very durable. And I hand painted the original design for these little borders, so customers can buy them with the borders. They don't have to have the borders. I kind of tend to go more is better, so I went with the borders. I really love it. This was just a new thing that we did. Then I had to faux marble all the countertops. So those are actually they're still waiting for their epoxy. This is a new one for me, trying to do countertops, but hopefully it's gonna last. And then this is our tile that we make at Mirth Studio. These are ceramic wall tiles that we put there. We added this bar because, like I said, the house ended here. We also added this island, which was a must-have. I just have to have an island in a kitchen. Because the kitchen ended right here, there was really no room until we had built out the sunroom. So this gives us additional storage. We have a wine fridge. We added some lampshades to the chandelier. This is also my tile on this bar area. Some art that my daughter and I got in Morocco when we visited a couple years ago. I absolutely love these lampshades. They're the coolest thing. It's actually like cut into the fabric. And I borrowed them from Ella, and she might not get them back because they're really perfect and they really make this room special. So when we moved in, I think I may have mentioned already, these terrible gray floors that were here, very 2000, gray, dark gray. And so I really couldn't live with them. One thing I've learned that in manufacturing, you have a lot of trial and error, so and it can be very expensive. We would do a whole print run and then look at it and wow, that wasn't right. So here you ended up with a lot of old flooring that you really couldn't use for a customer. So I've had to find ways to use it myself. So we actually painted this. These are our original planks, and so we painted it, and we loved the stripe, and it was easy to paint. So it's a kind of a tone on tone, and I'm pretty happy with the way that these came out. I studied painting, and then I moved to New York City, like a lot of starving artists do. And then I was fortunate enough to work for an interior designer that also was developing a fabric collection. So I learned how to design fabrics, which was like the old-fashioned way, using tracing paper. I also was introduced to decorative painting, which was something I didn't really know much about. and I flipped over it because it was like my two favorite things, interior design and painting. I started my own company eventually doing decorative painting, and it was pretty fun, and I got to travel a lot and work in some extremely nice houses in New York City, met some really fancy people, and it was a great job until my children were born, and then you kind of don't really want to smell bad chemicals or get on ladders, so I kind of went back to my fine art for a little while. And then fast forward to Charleston. We moved to Charleston from the New York area, and we bought a house that needed a full renovation, and I really wanted a painted floor like I used to do for my clients in New York, and I didn't want to actually get down on the floor and do that because it's a back-breaking job and it's no fun. So I kind of accidentally invented a product that I still think I'm the only one in the world making. It's a printed floor, so it looks like, originally it was a tile, so I hand paint the originals and then we print them onto the floor, and then they go back to the factory and get a factory finish. So that was sort of, I thought, wow, this is a really good idea, nobody else is doing it. And the next thing I know, I was like making samples, trying to finish the prototype in that house so that I could get the website going, and it really took off. People really liked it, and I've been in business about 11 years. Since then, we've added 1 million products because I can't stop. So we've added carpet, we've added rugs, we've added wallpaper, we're starting balances, we have a new line of cork. Any sort of interesting surface, I kind of like to pick things where there's not a lot of competition in the market, even though we do also do wallpaper, and at some point we will do textiles. So that said, this house has sort of served as a prototype for my entire business. So when I invent a product or need something at work, I try to use it first here. So I've experimented here, and vice versa. Sometimes I need something here and I'm like, hey guys, let's make a new product. So I can show you some of those examples of some of those products. So off the kitchen is essentially an open floor plan where we have the living room, dining room combination. We have this bar. It's great for entertaining. Everyone loves an open floor plan. You can always socialize and still be in the heart of the house, which is always the kitchen. So I've always been inspired by the Bloomsbury Group. Since my very first job in New York, I was introduced to them, a group of artists, writers, intellectuals that painted and worked together the turn of the century in England. This past summer, I finally got to go to the house that's coincidentally called Charleston in Sussex, England, and I was blown away. It's like everything in the house is painted. It's so inspiring. They make the carpeting they've made the pottery, painted every surface. So I was like, oh my God, one of the famous pieces that was done by Vanessa Bell was this dining table, and I said, I want a round dining room table that's painted. So here it is. I found this vintage and repainted it, and I'm really excited about having it. I don't even think we've had a meal on it yet, but we will. The other thing that really inspired me about the Bloomsbury Group, they I guess the old saying goes, they lived in squares, they painted in circles, and they loved in triangles. So take that however you want. They did do a lot of circles, and this is kind of a famous Bloomsbury motif with these circles, and I wanted to incorporate that here. So these are actually wood beams that have a wood trim on them that we actually sell. They can be used on the walls or they can be used as a trim. I hand painted the original, and then they get printed, and they actually have a peel and stick backing, so they just stick right up. So it's really easy. I think we installed them in like in a couple hours, we transformed the whole house. So I love that. And I just couldn't stop with the trims. I was like, oh my gosh, I bet if we cut them in half, we can make smaller trims. One of the things about manufacturing, you have to use what they have. So they only come in 5-inch or 2.5-inch. But I started trimming around the doors, and that wasn't enough. So I went around the windows. I don't even know if I'm finished yet. I went around the fireplace, But again, it's such a fun way to add hand painting detail to areas that are usually just kind of boring, and you don't have to slave away and do it yourself, or like repetitive painting. It's like I do it one little section and it gets repeated. So you might be wondering about this guy. This is a crazy story, but when we were renovating a bar in the Lower East Side of New York City called Drinkland. We opened up the wall, and inside the wall was this perfect pastel drawing. It was, when I found it, it was completely perfect. It has gotten some wear and tear over a couple of moves in many, many years, but it's still in great condition, and I just think it's beautiful. There's no signature. I've called the Historical Society of New York. I don't really have any idea of who it is or what year it's from. I love it, and it's gone to every house with us. It always gets a very prominent space. When I decorate, I kind of like to think of things as vignettes, like each little moment has its own personality. I like this little moment. It's kind of where we display like family photos. I love these prints. These are actually, they're not prints. These are hand-painted originals that we got in India and just framed those. I've been really into like circus life lately, and so I made this little skirted table with this little trim. I think you'll be seeing a lot more of that in my work lately or in the future. But yeah, and this mirror, this is probably one of my very first purchases. I think when I was in college, I found this with my mom and bought it, and it's again traveled everywhere with me, and I just love it. And it looked like that when I bought it, still does. Some other like thrifty items are my china cabinets that were not so spectacular. They were actually from IKEA, and I painted them up and added this sort of gold trim and stenciled the back, and I think they work. I love anything in a pair, and I needed a pair at the time, and these again have traveled with us and adapted to each space, but they kind of worked out perfect in here because we kind of went all in on the pink. I love this piece, this credenza. This is from an antique shop in Charleston. I think I just like fell in love with it, and I was like, I really need it. These are from my new friend who has a company called Varnish, and she's making all this beautiful rattan. So they're selling these lamps and this cool basket. The painting is by Thibaut Thiercelin, and he's a French artist who's married to one of my very best friends, Lisa Salamandra, who is also a French artist. And they have a fabulous life in France, and they paint every day, and I'm kind of jealous. It is kind of funny with homes because we had a mid-century 1956 flat roof modern when we lived in Connecticut. That was such a cool house. And it really called for mid-century modern furniture, so we had a lot of it, and a lot of it we still have. So the chandelier was back from our time on Tobacco Road. So I love mixing that in with other things. I don't really try to follow any particular period. I just kind of gravitate towards things that I like. So that is an original Sputnik lamp. These chairs are also Chinese Chippendale that I think we ended up painting, and I am really a big fan of Chippendale anything. I love vintage rattan. These are just some sweet vintage rattan chairs we got, and then these are some rattan bar stools, and we just added a little fun. I felt like I needed to bring some red into the room. I know that like Matisse once said that every room needs a little bit of red, or every painting needs a little bit of red, and I kind of believe that. The sofa was one of the first purchases I ever bought in our old house. It actually was bought before we closed on the house, if I recall. And we built a window to fit it perfectly, but it fits in very nice here in front of our gallery wall, which is a collection of different artists that I either are friends of mine. A lot of the work I did myself. I painted the baby shoes are all my kids' shoes. My daughter's piece, my friend Lisa Salamandra, another Lisa painting. That's one of my collages. John Flack is a pretty famous artist now. I went to college with him. And some of my I went for a small bit, I went to school in France and used to paint cows. And again, I'd love to be back doing that one day. The fireplace was just like a boring, I think it was like white painted brick with a mantle and a big TV over it. And so we actually still do have the TV. It's hidden behind this Japanese screen, which is a brilliant idea that I think we found on Pinterest. And then again, I used my painted wood panels. Instead of painting the whole fireplace, I was able to just apply these. This is our ceramic tile. This is actually hand painted, a little detail, and then the Moroccan screen just sort of ties it all together. I'm super excited about our new rug collection. These are made in India, hand-loomed killums. So this started out as a painting. So I painted the original, and then I work with my wonderful team at Mirth, who Lauren was able to take my painting and she puts it in a digital format, and then we send it off to India and they were able to weave it for me. So I got to pick all the colors and really just love how it kind of brings the whole room together. I think my two favorite pieces are the rug and the table. This little pillow was an Amazon find, and then I just did a little stencil on it, which we do a lot of here. We try to we try to reuse and recycle instead of throwing out and buying new. So I'm always looking for little projects that would make everything look special. And circles have sort of been a big theme in this house. I don't know exactly where it started, maybe with the chandelier, then the beams, and then it just seemed like a natural place that we needed to have a plate collection that keeps growing. When I find a plate that I love, it gets added to the wall, and probably the whole wall will be covered in no time. Some of them we actually went to the paint your own pottery place and painted ourselves, and others are from antique stores. Some are gifted, but I really enjoy them, and each one I remember either where I got it or who gave it to me. So to me, it's kind of a little history lesson. And this was my upholstery project that I mentioned earlier. It was a huge undertaking. I'm happy the way it turned out, but it was really more than I needed to do. But I was able to embellish it with Luli Wallace pillows. Luli is an artist that used to live in Charleston that has a wonderful collection of fabrics and textiles. So those are hers. And then I just got a few other pillows to sort of hide the mistakes. Doing decorative painting, you get called upon to do a lot of work in commercial spaces, particularly nightclubs where people are looking to do something kind of wild, something kind of theatrical. And so I did a lot of nightclubs, which sort of led me into actually designing them, which was really, really fun. And through that, I met my husband, who happened to be opening a bar. He had decided to go in on a bar with his roommate while he was in law school using his credit card. So luckily it worked out, but it was pretty fun. And then we started dating, and I think we spent most of our early time shopping for carpet for these nightclubs. And then eventually we joined forces and we opened some of our own. So at one point we had 5, and they were really fun, pretty much in the 90s in New York City. So it was a good time. One of them, 20,000 square foot. It was the first day that we signed the deal. I also found out that I was pregnant with my first daughter, which was a little bit tricky to be in the nightclub business and be a new mom, but we took 9 months to build it and 9 months to become a mom. Through designing these nightclubs, I think it sort of has defined my personal style a lot, because I do like things that are theatrical, and I don't want a house that just feels like, I don't want anything boring. I just kind of like to have interest, and I like to have, I certainly like comfort, but I think that a little whimsy and a little theatrics goes a long way in designing. Here we are in our multi-purpose space. It sometimes is used as our office, and sometimes we use it as our entry foyer if we're having a party or something. As you can probably guess, I made the wallpaper and the flooring. The wallpaper is one of my personal favorites. And then we actually printed the design on the ceiling. So the ceiling is made out of wood, and then we applied the same planks that we've used on the beams and on the trim, and they stick right to the ceiling. I bought this for my husband for Father's Day several years ago. It's a Chinese banquet painting. They would paint pictures of the family if they had like a wedding or some sort of event. And these are cool because this is one of the original fabrics that I worked on straight out of art school. So that was one of the original Mimi Russell fabrics I worked on, and I was able to find a few scraps. So I love this one. These paintings are from Macau, where my husband works, and we lived for a period of time, and always remind me of our really great times that we had there. And this is one of our floor patterns that we do. I did a custom color to work with the rest of the room, and again, our custom carpet. Here we are in the primary. This room, I just kind of wanted to feel very, I guess, kind of formal, kind of like a sanctuary, somewhere I could just go. In my perfect world, it would always be clean, kind of feel like a nice hotel. Those were sort of my inspirations. But we did some unique things. We used our trims again. I put them on the ceiling, and then instead of a crown molding, added there. This is wallpaper that we sell. This is by my collection with York Wallpaper, which is the largest wallpaper company in the world. My gallery wall also it's like a little bit of a shrine for my father, one of his favorite poems and his photos that we miss him. This bed is kind of fun. I've had it forever, but it just wasn't working for me, being just a plain bed. So I created, these are actually the same kind of decals that we used in the kitchen. So I hand painted the original and then printed them out, and they stick right on, and you would never know that it's not a very old antique. I like little fun things like that. And I love how the valance is, that is actually a window back there, and the window is not centered in the room. I have to kind of keep the curtains shut. I can open them, but it's a little bit, it tricks the eye to making you believe that it's centered. One of my favorite things is a painting that I actually found in the trash. It was just sitting there in a pile of trash on the side of the road, and I thought, who in the world would ever throw that away? But it's really found a new life and is very appreciated living in my room. And then I have some art school paintings that I did, and my mom's baby picture, my mother-in-law's debutante picture, some of my favorites. I love these. I don't even know exactly what they are. I think it's probably the first thing my husband and I bought when we had our first home at ABC Carpet and Home. Their outlet, Brooklyn. But I love these. I think they may have been like for a file cabinet, but they work great for drawers. I found this cool painting on Facebook Marketplace, which was a big score. And also this table was it was blue and did not work, but a little bit of faux painting. I faux tortoise-shelled it, and that works perfectly. So I love this whole little vignette, and I sit in my bed and I can kind of look at how pretty it is. This is one of our Mirth Studio wool rugs. These can be custom sized to any room. We custom colored. This was the very first prototype, and that was probably 4 years ago, and I think it's held up pretty darn nice considering lots of dogs, lots of cats, lots of kids. I'm pretty happy with it. When we were designing our ceramic collection, we thought it'd be kind of cool to do some coordinating patterns that people could use together. So this is our ceramic floor tile, and then we have our subway wall tile, and so that they can be used in the same room if you prefer. Then we just put this little chair rail. These are kind of fun little paintings that I got, or prints that I found in Asia. Trimmed up this mirror with some scallops because you can't have enough scallops, and trimmed up the vanity with some scallops. So instead of gutting it and ripping out the whole bathroom, we just embellished. When we started the renovations, we do have like a wonderful guy that has been helping us who really knows how to do construction, but it's pretty much been my daughter and I that have worked to install everything. It's a very much a DIY house. I even upholstered the sofa myself, which I would never do again. It's definitely worth the $3,500 that you have to spend. But I thought, oh, I can figure this out. So that was kind of a nightmare. We buy things vintage, and if they need to have a coat of paint, they get a coat of paint. We go to estate sales. We just really try to make an interesting layered house. The renovations themselves have been they sort of have come and gone. Like I needed to show my tile. We just started doing ceramic tile. So I was like, we need to have a picture of it. So let's rip out the bathroom and start this one. So that's kind of how that came about. It's always evolving. It's always changing. You know, we really never had a plan. The house itself was just not spectacular, like a 1950s kind of cottage with very weird lines. Like nothing in this house made any sense. I always loved symmetry. There's absolutely nothing symmetrical about it. And I've had to sort of accept that, where, you know, if I was to build from scratch or we were to spend a lot of money, we would probably have to like take the roof off and make it symmetrical. But we've just sort of said, it is what it is. And I think that's very European. I know that like the old houses, like in Europe, they don't, you know, they live with the quirkiness. And I think that's one thing I've learned to do, is like live with the quirkiness and give, you know, we do have functional issues. Like, you know, we have very little closet space, you know, so we do have to sort of adapt, but we do the best that we can. Now we're going to go ahead and I'll show you my son's room, and on the way, take note of this little hallway that we did. When you live in a little space, you have to kind of use every nook and cranny that you have. So sometimes these bookshelves end up with shoes on them, but this is just a little room that, I don't know, I kind of wish I could fit a chair in here, but we made the wallpaper that comes with the little border, and it works very nicely off of Harry's room, which also we made the wallpaper. So here we are in my son's room, and just a little background about my son. He's about 10 years younger than my middle daughter, so I have 2 grown adult children, and I have a 13-year-old. And he is an aspiring actor, and he's been in a lot of local productions, professional productions. We like to have a little nod to his theatrical life. He's also a musician. He plays the piano, plays the guitar, so we have to have places for all of his things. This also does have to double as a guest room sometimes when we have guests, so he has to sleep on the sofa, but he really likes having his room to hang out in. So this is a custom built-in that we did just to give Harry a little more space for his things, and he loves his things, his Legos. We have a lot of stuff that is from our time that we spent in Macau, and he had a brief career in baseball, and he has like some vintage toys and a few other little knickknacks. The wallpaper came first, so I just kind of I love a little red, a little blue, and then we kind of worked from there. Everybody loves a stripe. I can't get enough of them, even if they're all put in the same room. It works for me. This is part of our new Valance collection, and this was the first one. We've made some changes to the design that are a little better, but you live and learn. This is also a Mirth Studio floor. We sell the planks in solid colors, which is pretty cool because you can get any color. Like when you're staining something, you can't do that. So you can get any color you want since we print. So we did a stripe, and then this is another one of our printed rugs. I definitely love the property. I wish I could like take this entire property and drop it in the middle of Charleston, South Carolina. It's a little remote, but I love being out here. It's incredibly peaceful. There's a lot of history about this house. It was actually, it was owned by the governor of South Carolina at one point. This was a huge farm, over 1,000 acres. And some of these trees date back, they could be 300 years old. I have no idea. But I did find out that they burned down the original house in the Revolution, 1779. And I was a little nervous to move in because I thought that there might still be some spirits lurking about. And so I was actually terrified about moving in because I learned all this stuff before after we had signed the deal, but before we closed on the property. I started doing all this historical research, and I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to live there. It's going to be so haunted. And I got here and I was like, it's the opposite. It's probably the most peaceful place I've ever been. I do love that. And I kind of love to have a home that's really just, it wasn't spectacular. I believe that our kitchen used to be the garage of the cottage that was rebuilt in the 50s. and you don't feel like anything's very precious, which lets me really take some chances. And I tend to like decorate instead of redesign. I don't try to make it something, that it isn't like supposed to be. And now we're going to take you to the pool house and the barn. We created this little pool cabana. This is probably my favorite part of the whole house because in South Carolina it rains a lot. Our last pool we had, we always had soggy wet furniture and it drove me crazy. So we have a nice covering for our furniture, so it's always ready if you want to come out and chill by the pool, have a little lunch. When we designed it, we definitely wanted stripes. My daughter hand painted all of those. We added our little trims. Welcome to the barn, which doubles as a guest house, which is great when you live in a 2-bedroom house and you love having company. Here we have 3 bedrooms, kitchen, living area, there's a gym, there is my studio, so it's kind of a multi-purpose hangout space. My son comes here with his friends to play music. I sneak away down here to paint. It's kind of a wonderful place to have. This is kind of our memorabilia wall, a lot of our posters from our nightclubs that we had, and my husband's current job in entertainment. This is my studio where all of the painting happens. These are originals that we then turn into our different products. So this is where I get inspired. For me, it really makes a house a home by having, it's kind of my workshop. I've said before, it's like it serves as a prototype for everything I do. There's always a project going on, and I think that makes me feel very much at home. I grew up in a house that had a sewing machine on the dining room table pretty much every day except for Sunday. I kind of like projects, and so I feel like, my home is a reflection of who I am as a creative person and an artist and a person that likes to do projects. But of course, I like having all my animals. I guess we have 4 cats. We don't go out and find them, but if they show up, we keep them. We have 3 dogs and maybe adding more. And I love when my children are around. My happiest days are when my entire family is here at the same time, which doesn't really happen that often, but hopefully it'll happen more that that we finish the renovation.
Hi Homeworthy, my name is Leah Pagel and this is my Charleston apartment. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
My name is Leah Pagel. I live in Charleston, South Carolina, and I do digital marketing, and I also run a bedding brand called Sunday Spell. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment in Charleston with my husband Jake and my dog Eleanor. When we were looking for apartments, we knew we wanted a lot of natural light. We wanted something that was a little bit newer of a build, just because that meant more windows and brighter space and everything, and more of an open concept. Coming from Milwaukee, we lived in a 100-year-old house that was pretty dark, and it had a lot of character, but it was just so dark and felt closed off. So I knew we wanted a bigger, brighter space, but also still bringing in some of that charm. My husband and I both work remote, so we decided on Charleston just because Milwaukee is cold and we wanted better weather. We really hadn't been here before, but we came for a weekend and we signed a lease just kind of without really seeing anything else, and we've loved it. We've been here a little bit over a year now. We absolutely love the weather. We love having the beach so close by. There's so much green space to walk around in, and it's just such a beautiful historic city. This is our living room. This is my favorite room in the apartment, I think. It's just so warm and cozy, and I just love all of the little trinkets and everything that I have around. I think the biggest statement piece is definitely the rug. It's one of my favorite things I have in the apartment. I love like the purple and red kind of tones. I don't really have anything like that elsewhere in the apartment. I think it just adds a really fun pop of color to the space. This coffee table was thrifted. I get a lot of questions about it. Unfortunately, I have no idea where it's from. I got it at the thrift store for $20, so it was one of my best finds. And I just have little trinkets about. I love getting little matches from local restaurants. Charleston has a ton of restaurants that give out matches, so I collect those and just display them in different areas. I love this little box that I found at the thrift store. I keep our remotes in there. I think it's a fun way to just hide kind of ugly everyday things. And I like to always have fresh flowers in the apartment. I think it just makes it so much more bright and fresh in here. These coasters were actually tiles that I bought in Mexico, and then I just added little cork backing to them. So I think that's a fun way to just get like a unique look that you wouldn't really find in a store. This couch is probably one of my favorite furniture pieces, and it's actually just from IKEA. We get a lot of questions about it, but it's pretty affordable and really comfortable, and I love that you can take the covers off. We have a dog, so we like to be able to wash the covers. And we got the matching ottoman, which has storage in it, which is really nice for putting like our extra blankets in and everything. This lamp was actually an Amazon find. People are kind of shocked when I tell them it was just from Amazon, but I love the pleated lampshade, and the table that's attached to it is really nice for just putting our drinks on while we're watching TV. Most of my apartment finds are really affordable, but I think just putting them all together makes it look a lot more collected and a little bit higher end, even though pretty much everything in the apartment is affordable. This is pretty much the first thing you see when you enter the apartment, so I wanted to make a big statement, and so I just put a bunch of different frames. There's really no rhyme or reason to any of the artwork. I like to thrift artwork. I also find a lot of things on Etsy, and I'll get them printed at Walgreens or something. And then some of my artwork is actually just thrifted art books, and I will just cut out the art from in it. I don't know if that's okay or not to do, but I do it. I think if you're gonna do mismatched, you have to just go for it and go all out. So really nothing matches and there's no theme to it. I think if you try to make things too perfect, then you kind of trap yourself, and then it has to be either totally perfect or completely mismatched. So I just went completely mismatched. This chair was just another really affordable Amazon find, and then this throw pillow I think is just from Target. I get so many questions about our TV stand, and it's actually 2 separate cabinets. They're just from Target, and we used to have 3 of them in our old house, and it looked really nice with this size TV, but unfortunately we didn't have space for all 3 of them, so we just used 2. But one of my secrets is that I actually just stuck some paper on the back of these doors because I didn't want you to see what's inside of them. I use these for storing decor and like plant stuff and everything, so this just kind of hides everything without really being super obvious when you're just looking at it from the outside. And then on the TV stand, I have more matches. I went a little bit crazy collecting matches recently. And then I thrifted this little shell, and I just have a couple of Polaroids of kind of our friends and family in here, and some more fresh flowers. This is another piece I thrifted. I actually just got this like 2 days ago. It's just an old mahogany little side table. And then I love getting plants. I think it just freshens up the space a lot. So there's a local plant shop here called Meeting Green, and I love it. I get a lot of plants there. And yeah, I just love having little things about, but also having things kind of, organized so it doesn't feel too cluttered. I would say my favorite room is the living room. It's the room that has gone through the most changes since we've lived here. It started out with just all of our old furniture that we brought from our old house in Milwaukee, but slowly we've thrifted pieces. We've added in beautiful pieces like this really nice warm purpley red rug that I think adds so much color and warmth to the space. And our coffee table is thrifted, and we get so many questions about it. Unfortunately, I don't know the brand or anything. It's just a really old wooden coffee table, but there's so many just unique and warm vintage and modern pieces in this room. So I think this room really kind of encapsulates my decor style and just my overall aesthetic, I guess. And now I'm going to show you the dining room, which is just right here. We honestly don't spend a ton of time in here. We tend to eat in front of the TV, but when we have guests over, we love to play board games and everything, so it's nice having a really big dining table. This is just from Wayfair, again, pretty affordable. This tablecloth or table runner is a sample I got for my business Sunday Spell. It's not a product that we have yet, but it's something that I'm kind of thinking of doing someday. I love having fresh flowers, like I said. This vase was just thrifted, and one thing I always pick up at any thrift store is candlesticks, especially if they're like solid metal. So these are all thrifted candlesticks, and obviously the candles are going a little bit crazy right now because we have a little breeze in here. So I love when they create fun little drippings on the side. And in this part of the dining room, we just have this little sideboard. It's actually kind of a funny story. We were looking for a piece of furniture in here, and I saw someone post this on TikTok, but this is actually a tank stand from PetSmart, so it's meant to hold a fish tank. But I thought it was just actually a really pretty piece of furniture, and again, it was really affordable, and it's actually pretty solid and good quality, so it just adds a lot of storage, and I think it looks nice. And then I just put up another very random kind of mismatched gallery wall. We have a picture that my friend made of one of our wedding photos. She drew that, so that's really special. And then just kind of random stuff. This is a print that I thrifted. It's from Meeting Street in Charleston, kind of further downtown in the peninsula, and I just think it's really pretty. And then other things that I cut out from books and just little, this is actually dollhouse wallpaper that I thrifted. And yeah, this is another print that I just bought on Etsy and printed out at Walgreens. So everything, again, very affordable and very easy to recreate. And I love taking fabric and putting it behind my prints. I think it just adds such color and texture to the artwork, and it just makes the gallery wall more interesting. I don't know if there's a word to describe my style because I really kind of just see things I like and bring them into my home, but I would say it's collected, it's cozy, but still bright and kind of minimal in a way. I don't like a lot of clutter, but I do like having, things I like to look at all the time. I think, we're all just floating on a big rock and we're decorating our little box that we live in, so we may as well have things we like in it. I would say there's a little bit of coastal design element to it. I do like to bring in vintage pieces and more modern pieces, and I like adding color into the space because it is such a big white box with nothing in it, so adding color and texture and warmth just makes it feel so much more cozy. And now we're just gonna head over into the kitchen. This is another one of my favorite parts of the apartment. We don't really have much decor in here, but it's just so big and bright and functional, which is really important to us because we eat a lot of meals from home. I absolutely love these bar stools. They're just from Target. I think they really add to kind of the coastal vibe. Living in Charleston, I think it's fun having little things that bring out the coastal aesthetic in the apartment. This is where my dog Eleanor eats, and I have a fun little project that I'm working on. So I'm making her own gallery wall because everybody deserves to have a pretty space. This is a work in progress right now, but I've just started collecting these little tiny frames from the thrift store, and then I painted a couple of them, and I'm just putting in little pictures for her. So I have a picture of me and my husband Jake, and a picture of some sardines, which she loves, and a park. So yeah, that's gonna be her little gallery wall. So I guess look out for that on TikTok and Instagram because I'll be sharing that over there. So we really like cooking at home and eating most of our meals at home. So I really prioritized having a nice big kitchen when we were looking for apartments. And this one definitely fit the bill. We have plenty of space, plenty of cabinets. We have a nice big island. And this rug was one of my favorite purchases. It's just from Amazon. I believe it's the Rifle Paper Company and Loloy collab, but I just think it adds so much fun, color, and texture to the kitchen. And then I don't like having too much on my countertops. I really like a clean space to work with. So I really just keep a little lamp here, and then salt and pepper and oil. These were just from World Market. I think they have a really cute kitchen utensils. And then this is just a thrifted tray that I found, and a couple cookbooks and a little cutting board, and I think that's perfect. I don't like having too much out because it just makes me feel stressed when I'm cooking, and I like having a clean space to work with. Right off of the kitchen, we have this little built-in desk area, and for the longest time, this ended up just being kind of a dumping ground where we'd put mail and keys and everything. But I finally decided that I really wanted a nice bar slash hosting area. So I turned it into kind of like a bar cart, but way more. So we keep all of our drinks here. We're not really big drinkers, but it's just kind of fun to look at everything. And I love collecting like vintage glassware and everything. I just thrifted these silver coupe glasses that I think are so fun. And I have some other thrifted glassware and little prints around. And I just think it's a really great way to use this space. We do work from home, but we have our own desks, so we didn't really need the built-in desk area. So I just think it's a great use of this space. And it's kind of its own little design moment as well. And then underneath, I just have these little ottomans that actually open up. They were just from Walmart. I think they were like $10, but I think they look really cute, and we keep our like kitchen linens and placemats and everything in those. I launched Sunday Spell in March of this year, so it's been very recent. It's been a little bit over a month, and the original idea, I really just wanted to find, when I was looking for bedding, I wanted to find something colorful and unique and versatile, but still timeless and also high quality. And so when I was looking for that, I really didn't find what I was looking for. And so I decided, I guess I'll do it myself. So I found a manufacturer to work with. They specialize in linen. That's the only fabric they work with, so they're very good at it. So it's 100% European linen, and right now we just have duvet covers and pillowcases, but hopefully we'll be launching sheets soon. And by we, I mean me, it's just me right now. My favorite thing about our duvet covers is that they're reversible, so there's a pattern on one side and a color on the other, so you really get a lot of like bang for your buck with the duvet cover. So I've been self-employed since 2019, since I graduated college, and I've done a lot of different digital marketing, freelance social media management jobs, and I've also run my own websites, and I've done content creation. And so I guess I've always had some level of entrepreneurial spirit in me, but I never really saw myself launching or having a business surrounding physical products, because honestly that just seemed kind of like a hassle to me. But I just fell in love with the idea of this bedding business, and it's been actually really fun and really fulfilling for me. All right, this is the primary bedroom, and I absolutely love this room, partially because it's where I get to show off my bedding from my brand Sunday Spell. So this is kind of the main attraction of the room. This is our pink sand reversible duvet cover, and I absolutely love it. I think it's a nice like neutral color, and then I like to mix and match my bedding, so I paired it with some colors that are not released yet but will be coming soon. And this headboard I actually thrifted from a Habitat for Humanity restore recently, and it was one of my favorite finds. It's just so pretty and kind of adds some color and texture to this room and character. And then the nightstands in here were also thrifted. I love kind of mixing and matching wood tones and metal tones, and I think it just makes it a lot more fun and gives it a lot more character. So yeah, the wood tones don't match, but I just think it all kind of goes together when you don't try to make everything match too much. Like I said, I think it's really fun to just mix and match and go all out with it. Otherwise, you know, you get stuck trying to find everything matching perfectly. So it's more fun to just let all the rules go and just pick what you like. This print is just from Etsy. I bought it and then had it printed out locally, and then the frame is just from Target, but I do get a lot of questions about it. It's a really nice print. It's a Slim Aarons print, who's a photographer that I really like, and I think it's just a fun kind of vintagey but still kind of modern art piece to have above the bed. Over here we just have my little linen storage area, so this is kind of a spot where I can showcase more of my linens, and because I own a bedding business, I have a lot of colors and patterns and everything, so it's fun to kind of mix and match that and show them off right here. I thrifted this bookcase a little bit ago, and then, you know, just some thrifted items, and this is one of our best plants in the apartment. I don't have the most green thumb, but this has lasted a long time, so we're hoping that it's around for a long time. This is just a picture that, again, was thrifted, and I just thought it tied in a lot of the colors nicely. So I love this little area. I think it's fun and unique, and I think a lot of people would probably hide away their linens, but I think it's fun to just display things like that because it's colorful, they're beautiful, and you may as well show them to everyone. This rug is another favorite of mine. I absolutely love adding fun rugs to a space, and I don't know if there are rules against putting a rug on carpet, but if there are, those are rules that are made to be broken, because I just think it makes this room look so much more fun and colorful. And this is another one that's from Rifle Paper Company. I just love their stuff. It's fun and a little bit feminine, and I think it brings out the colors of the bedding and of the room that I really want to pull. And I change my bedding colors so often, so it's nice having a rug that has a lot of different colors in it so that it always kind of goes together. And these ottomans I also get a lot of questions about. They're just from Target, and they're really nice. I kind of wish I would have gone with storage ottomans in here too, because it is really nice having that extra storage, but they look pretty and they do their job, so I do really like them. And on this side of the bedroom, I just have my desk. I used to work out in the living room and kind of bop around a little bit, but I felt like I really needed to have my own space to get work done. So I put my desk in here, and it's nice just to have everything, you know, kind of in one spot. We use this dresser actually just for my office storage, so I put a lot of things in there, like my notebooks and everything. We don't even keep clothes in there, but it's really handy having that for my desk space. And yeah, this is just where I keep my little bedding samples. And right here, I just have a little sneak peek for you guys. It's a new color that I'm launching soon for Sunday Spell. I'm really excited to come out with a green color because I feel like that's such a versatile color that also feels very neutral. So keep an eye out for that coming very soon. And now let's go over to the guest room, which is also my husband's office. I would say my biggest tip is that it's okay to change things. I think for a while I was really stuck. I would buy a picture and just not hang it up for months because I was like, it just felt like such a big commitment. And don't look too closely at my walls because there's lots of holes in them because I change things all the time. My next tip would be, even if you're in a rental, I think you deserve to have a beautiful home that you love. So don't be afraid to invest in your space and make changes, because at the end of the day, you live there, you need to have a space that you love and feel safe and cozy and comfortable in. And so, you know, I think a lot of people when they live in a rental, they are like thinking about it as a temporary space, but it is a home and you deserve to have it be beautiful. And I would also say thrifting. I absolutely love thrifting, and I think it's a great way to have a really unique space without spending a lot of money. I think that I really took the Midwest for granted. Going back home now, I feel like it's like paradise for thrifting. It is a lot harder here, but I've found that the Habitat for Humanity restores are a really good place to find affordable finds. I feel like Charleston in general, it's a lot more vintage and antique stores, so they're higher price points, but the Habitat for Humanity stores, I would say, is the best thrifting for a good value. All right, and now we're in our guest bedroom, which also doubles as my husband's office. We just switched out from a queen bed to a day bed in here, which just gives us so much more space, so I feel like that's really nice. And this is a twin day bed that pulls out into a king bed, which is great for having guests. And I have another one of my Sunday Spell designs on here. This is our reversible duvet cover in Mist Stripe, which is definitely a customer favorite. And then I just added as many pillows as I could because I think it just needs to feel comfortable and full in here. And then I just added as many pillows as I could possibly fit on here because I just think it looks so much more comfortable and inviting with a lot of pillows on it. And over here, I just have like a little nightstand for guests, and we have this lamp that I thrifted. The shade is just from Target. I love to thrift lamp bases and then switch out the shades because a lot of times the shades are kind of in rougher shape. So I'll buy a lamp for just the base of it and then put on a nice shade, and I think it just makes it look so much more, you know, fresh and new. And then I thrifted these coasters. I also have more matches in here. As you can tell, I have way too many matches. This nightstand is just from IKEA, so again, a very affordable find, and we just keep some blankets down here for guests in case they get cold. I thrifted these little safari prints. They're old photographs that I just think are very cool, and they already had this green matting attached to them, so I just put them in these frames, and I just think it's kind of fun and, you know, feels a little bit more masculine in here while also, you know, being fun and inviting for guests. Above the daybed, I just got these poster frames, and I had these prints made at Walgreens. They're just from Etsy, and I downloaded them and sent them to be printed. And then I just put some fabric backing on them. I think it looks really nice, and it's nice to just have some black and white pictures because I don't have a lot of neutrals in the apartment, so it just kind of balances out a lot of the color. And then over here I have this little shelf that I thrifted, and I just put as many books and plants and trinkets on it that I could find, and I just think it's a fun way to display some of my husband's little books and trinkets in a way that is also nice for the guests. This is that other cabinet that used to be under the TV in our old house, but I just put it in the guest room here to hold my husband's record stand and some of his little knickknacks, watches, and everything. And we thrifted this little rack for his albums, which I think is really nice. And we put a little candle warmer. And these prints I really love. This black and white one was just thrifted. It's a scene from a bar in Paris. And the one above it, I just cut out of a book about beer. I just thought it was really nice. And again, it kind of is a more masculine theme in this room, other than it's more masculine theme in here versus the rest of the apartment. So I thought it was a really fun way to kind of, you know, have it be manly, but with a woman's touch. And this is a very realistic tour. So we of course have to include my husband's command center. This is where he works from, and also, you know, where he spends his free time. This picture was actually just a canvas that we really didn't like the art for. So I just painted over it, just random, you know, green tones. And I think it's nice and neutral, and it just kind of, you know, is something to add to the wall without really taking away or, you know, distracting from the rest of the room. Right off of the guest room is our guest bathroom. I like to treat each room in the apartment kind of as its own space. So you'll see that all the rooms kind of have a different style and different theme, I guess you'd say. So this one definitely has more color and more brighter prints and everything. So I just tried to make it kind of a fun little, you know, moment for guests. I bought these prints a while ago. I just thought they were so fun, but I really had no idea where I was gonna put them because they don't really match the rest of my decor aesthetic, but I think they're so fun in here. They add such a nice pop of color. They're just from a local artist, and then the frames are just from Target. And then I thought that little tissue holder was so fun. It's just from Amazon. This print is just from Etsy. I got it printed out and framed it myself. And then I love having a fun little pop of color in the towels for guests. This shower curtain I get a lot of questions about. It's actually from Walmart. It was like $12, but I think it's so, you know, nice and colorful, and just adds, you know, some color and texture in here without really being a big statement. And then I love this little rug we have in here. This was just a TJ Maxx find, but again, I just love like adding some pops of color, especially in rugs. I think it's such a fun way to brighten up a space. So I thought it really pulled in all the colors that I have in this bathroom, and it's just a fun little accent. And last but not least, let's head over to the entryway. And now we're here in the entryway. This was my latest project. So before this, it was just kind of chaotic in here, but I think it's very functional and it looks cute now. So this little bench is just from Target, and we use it to hold some of our daily wear shoes. We have treats for the dog here. I just thrifted this little hanger thing. It was like on my thrift wish list for so long, and I got it for $1. So I was so excited about that. And it holds, you know, purses and coats and everything. And I have these fun little baskets that I just kind of throw around. And then these are just some pictures that I love, and this is our wedding photo. My husband got this for me for Valentine's this year. He got it printed out and everything, so I think it looks really cute in the entryway. And then just some other little prints I have. This is a thrifted piece again, and I just think it's really nice for holding our keys and everything. We put things in this little box. We have sunglasses and everything in here, and then this little bowl we hold our keys in. And then underneath we just keep our reusable bags so that they're, you know, grab and go when we're heading out the door. And then I love this little rug. It's just from Amazon. I think it just adds a nice pop of color, and it's a little bit more of a modern piece. I like mixing modern with vintage and everything. So since a lot of the things are thrifted in here, I do like to add a little pop of something newer and more modern in here. One of the things I could not live without in an apartment building is a wagon. We have this fold-out wagon, and we use it for everything, for bringing in groceries. We use it for when I come home from the thrift store with a little too much stuff. So if you live in an apartment building, I definitely recommend getting a wagon, and we just store ours right here. I think for me, home feels like just a safe place, and I think especially for someone like myself who grew up more in an environment that didn't always feel like a safe space, it's so important for me to have a home that feels just safe and comfortable and cozy coming back to. And living here with my husband and my dog, it just feels amazing coming home. Like, I'll travel and I'll be excited to come back home because I just have this safe, beautiful space that just feels like me, and it's filled with things I love and people I love, and yeah, it's just the best.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Bailey.
I'm Megan.
I'm Lily. And welcome to my home in Charleston, South Carolina.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, I'm Bailey Gorelick-Donahue.
Hi, I'm Megan Gorelick.
I'm Lily Gorelick, and we all work at Megan Gorelick Interiors.
So I started this business about 17 years ago. When the girls were little, everyone would ask them if they wanted to work with me. They would always say, no way.
We're like, we do not want to work with her. It's
Too
way
hard.
too hard. She'd be up at the kitchen island at night till like 11 o'clock, and we're like, we don't want to do this.
But then somehow they got a little interested, and thank God they came on board. Britain, the middle one, came first. So we have another daughter. She came first, and then Bailey.
So I probably started with you 6 years ago, and when I first started, I was like gonna come in and do marketing and all of that, but then, because that's what my background was in, but then it was COVID, and the rest of our team had to work from home, and so then I had to learn like everybody's job, which was the best thing for me, because then I was like, oh, I love this, and I actually wanna design with her, so we started designing together then.
I was in college during COVID, and I came home for a weekend, I thought, and then I suddenly had a 9 to 5 working with them, but it was
No baking banana bread for you.
No, it was just off to the races, but then I never left
And then we made her come work with us
the day I graduated.
Yes.
So I went to college at Charleston, Bryn, my other sister, went to college at Charleston, and so did Lily.
We're all 2 years apart.
And so we're originally from Delaware, but I just moved to this house like 3 weeks ago. We're in Mount Pleasant, right by like the little old village area. And my best friend from college is actually a realtor here in Charleston. So she found us this house off market, and we were like, okay, this house is perfect. And we just moved in. We did like a little tiny mini renovation, and then we just went off with like paint and wallpaper and lighting and furniture and made it totally our own.
Welcome to the first floor. Bailey will tell you a little bit about this area.
This area is everything. It's our kitchen, living, dining. So this is when you first walk in. This is our bar situation. So I found this piece on Facebook Marketplace, and I'm in love with it. And my mom scaped it out like amazing for me.
Well, she needed a place, extra storage for her glasses, her liquor, her like cocktail napkins, all that fun stuff. Her husband makes the best cocktails.
Espresso martinis, especially.
He makes amazing drinks. So when we got this, we thought this was gonna open up and stay open, and it doesn't. We need to find a solution for that. But my mom was like, okay, we need a place for him to like actually make the drinks. So then we found this cute little piece right here. And this is where you can actually like pour the drinks and serve things. And
His little station.
that's his little station.
And then Bailey made these fun little matches that just have some fun sayings.
Little party
we love to
favors.
do these for clients. It says, isn't this fun? That's our family
our
motto.
family saying.
And then Philly pour, because her husband always pours it a little too
A
high.
little too high.
High tide.
Yeah, high tide. So they have different kind of family sayings, and the Donahues, whatever on there.
We kind of struggled with some of the lighting in
Yeah,
here.
this one in particular, because it wasn't really centered in the room. It was centered on the door. It needed to be a statement piece. It's your foyer light. It's kind of like letting us know what to expect as we come forward. Yeah. So we struggled. We wanted something wide but shallow. So we found this and then had it covered, and it's covered in the same fabric as Bailey's drapes. So it kind of sets the tone.
Yeah, you'll see this fabric throughout the house, so it sets the tone.
All right, so this little banquette is a good example of us talking about Bailey had like this piece from her apartment in Philly,
yeah.
and the table from her apartment in Philly. Then another apartment, she added the chairs. So this is kind of a little collection we didn't have to do too much. We were lucky. Well, we made it fit because we had to. We made it fit right here.
Well, it was perfect though, because when we first came in here, like one of the biggest things, we were like, okay, there is no dining room. And so we were like, we want to create a space. Like we love sitting around the table and talking and eating dinner. And that is also another thing growing up. We always had like comfy upholstered chairs. We never just had wood chairs.
So my philosophy on that, especially like raising like teenagers, was the more comfortable you made the chairs and you had a nice dinner on a Friday and Saturday night, they might forget about their plans a little bit. They'll hang out, they'll relax. Some of the wheels might fall off their like plans. So it was kind of a trick, but I made the party at our house every Friday and Saturday night so that they were like a little too comfortable to go out.
So being comfy at the dining table is like a big thing for us. And like my husband and my brother-in-laws, they'll just like start to like lay on the banquette, like because we'll just hang out here forever. So we were so happy that we could fit this in. And then we love just like she's so good at making pretty tablescapes. She figured like all of this out for me.
Well, it's fun. It's just, and again, Bailey's a maximalist. Like this isn't for everyone. Not all of our clients would love this, but Bailey loves mixing patterns and stripes and florals. She like the more layered, the better. So we got her colors, the blue, the green, the pink, all kind of layered in with different stripes and florals.
So many patterns. We have twa, floral, stripe, like you name it. It's on this table.
Yeah. So we are obsessed with these cordless lights. And especially with a project like Bailey's. Bailey's was what we call kind of more like a refresh than a full renovation or a ground up construction. We don't get to lay out where the outlets are, et cetera. So you'll see a lot of these type of lights in here. But they're great, and they come with all the fun shades, and I have always loved them, especially in restaurants and stuff, when you see them on a table. And this kind of gives that whole restaurant vibe. Like that's what everybody loves about a restaurant is the banquette, the lighting, etc.
We love lamp lighting because it's so cozy. And then we did this really cool mirror here. So this is a super old mirror. And then we had a really talented artist who did a bunch of things in this house. She gold leafed this mirror, so it looks
just to brighten it up a little bit more. And it was tricky to find just the right one for this size. I guess this is a new addition for this space.
Yeah, it is.
So now we're in Bailey's kitchen. We didn't do like a full renovation or anything in here. We hardly did anything at all, except we did paint the cabinets. We changed out some of the lighting. She added a cafe curtain and then personalized it with things like her art.
We just wanted to make it feel like cozy and like it actually looks like a totally different kitchen. We put this cute little note that my grandmother wrote me here. We added, like she was just saying, this little cute little cafe curtain. I feel like it just feels cozier and cute.
And you don't have to worry about this art getting messed up because Bailey doesn't really cook anyways.
Okay, so we wanted to add a ton of personal touches to the house. So these little napkins were actually my wedding invitation. So the way we did it was like, yes, this is really your invitation, who, what, where, when. And then it was a box of napkins. So underneath people got like customized napkins, like a joke between us or a happy hour at their house. So it's really fun for everybody that comes over to see the wedding invitation up right here.
No one could believe they were really your wedding invitations, but that's what we did. And then we have this little bar area here. And we love our bar stools. So this is an example of one of our swivel bar stools. You had this in one of your older apartments.
Yeah, I did.
And then we had it in the same leather as the banquette. So they swivel, they do a 360, really comfortable, really cute, and they worked out perfectly here.
So more fun wedding art. This was actually the save the date to my wedding. So we sent out a physical postcard and we had the wedding at my mom's house in Stone Harbor. And so we did a little postcard that pointed to our house and said, see you here. So we got the physical postcard and we blew it up and we made this art.
All right, now let's head over to the living area.
Now we're in Bailey's living room. We literally just took a little hop over here. It's all one space. But a lot going on in here. We packed a lot in. We've got a sectional, we've got this crazy ottoman, and then her ship wall, which we'll talk about.
So I had this idea that I wanted to do these ships above my sectional, but I'm like, how am I going to make this happen? So my amazing mom, she got all of these for me for Christmas.
Yeah, it was crazy. I think it was like every Sunday afternoon while I was watching football games, I was online buying them from different people. I figured out how to, what do you call it? The
Uber package.
Oh,
It was-
Uber package. I figured that out.
Lily, you had to get a
bit
lot.
with Lily's help.
It was a labor of love. It was
Yeah, labor of love. But like one by one, we picked these up, not having any idea how they were all going to go together. And then we had an artist do all the frames. So most of them are the same, the frames, the original frames. And we had an artist just kind of like touch up the
Make 'em
frames
look old.
so that they made them cohesive.
And I love the way it looks. It looks
Yeah,
so
it's
good.
fun. It's
Yeah.
really fun.
And some are needlepoint, and they're just really, really cool. And it was the
It's kind of
best.
unexpected when you walk in. It takes people a second, and then they see it, and they're like, whoa, what's going on here?
But Bailey and her husband both, that was like one of your common things was you both
Yes.
love boating.
So I grew up sailing. My husband's a deep sea fisherman, like a crazy man. And so we both love being on the boat. So this was kind of like, and that's also why we wanted to move here to Charleston so we could be on the water. So
So it's a little nod to that.
exactly.
All right, so then the other thing we have going on here is this beautiful powder blue sectional. It's a really, really soft, it's actually an indoor-outdoor fabric.
It's an indoor-outdoor
But
velvet.
it's really, really soft velvet. You would never know it was indoor-outdoor. And again, it kind of gives Bailey the like palette she wanted, the light blue, but then her husband can just relax on the weekends on it and not have to worry about anything being too delicate. And then Bailey put her little twist on it with the fringe and the
I
cording.
love the fringe. Like this sectional was the one thing that I was like, I need to get
It was
a
a non-negotiable for you.
I was like, I need to get a new sectional. Like I just had this vision of this in my head and I needed it. And I'm so happy that I did because it just makes the room in
And
here.
it's a funny little juxtaposition, this like sweet sectional with a fringe and then this huge animal print.
So the ottoman is something that she had in one of her other apartments. And I mean, if we were starting over, we would have did it a little different size because this sectional's a little irregular. It's not square. So I would have made the ottoman fit right inside it. But we kept what we had. You are obsessed
I'm
with this
so
fabric.
in love with this fabric and this ottoman, and it's like so big and comfy. So it's like we pulled this into here, and it's like
A mosh
one-
pit.
Yeah,
it's a mosh pit.
It's so comfortable. We upholstered the legs of the ottoman, which is something we love to do. So it's like
And they have casters, so it's
So
really
you can, like,
easy.
move
you can
it.
move it with your knee. It's so easy. And we always do. We customize these acrylic trays that we put on them. We love the clear trays because we want to be able to see the fabric. You go to so much trouble to make sure that the ottoman fabric is usually the linchpin of the room. So we do the clear trays and then we scape it with the books. But the books all like act like coasters a little bit.
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
For
Like,
drinks, food.
Yeah, we
so
can just
many of our clients are
move
like,
this.
"How I want a comfy ottoman, but I want to be able to put drinks and food down." We're like, "Don't worry, because
So you can put a plate of hors d'oeuvres here and then still put your feet up over here. It all works. And we have these little, we call them like cigar tables that you can
They
sit
just
in,
slide right under and you can put a drink or
Put
a
a drink
laptop.
down. anything you want there.
One thing we love to do is super custom pillows. So no two pillows that we've ever done are the same. So we always do fun welts, contrast borders, and they're kind of just like a fun surprise to the room. Like this one, you probably would never expect. That's the back. So we just have a lot of fun with the pillows and kind of use them to tie in all the fabrics of the room.
So we do a lot of coastal homes. We don't just do coastal homes, but we do a lot of them. And there's lots of indoor outdoor rooms. There's also lots of family, etc. And in anticipation of Bailey having small children here, we like to do indoor outdoor carpets inside. That way she doesn't have to worry about sippy cup spilling, wine spilling, entertaining, anything. So this is an example of one of the flat weave carpets that we like to do as an indoor outdoor, and it's really actually very comfortable. And as you saw before, it makes the ottoman easy to like wheel on.
And these carpets are in every single bedroom. We have them on the porches, we have them on the decks, we have them downstairs. They're everywhere. And we also love to do the same carpet in a house.
Again, it makes it more cohesive, and we always try and customize it to the size of the room.
So I love the drapes in this room. You'll probably recognize this fabric because it was on the foyer light. It's also one of the pillows. You'll see it again on the kitchen cafe curtains. But this fabric was kind of like my starting point in here. I love it. It feels kind of like old-timey Charleston-y, but it's also my really happy colors that I have everywhere.
Yeah, the colors were perfect.
So I love these.
So this area was a little quirky. What we like to do when we have like art on the walls, we like to have original art, we like to have photography, we like to mix things, we like to have things that are sculptural. So this wall was kind of just, it was dark and we didn't have anything great to put here, but this room was begging for sculpture. This light worked. It was fabulous. It has the ropey nautical feel. We put a little toile bench underneath of it, and it gives that sculptural element. So we're really thrilled with this. Plus, it works like a light. It illuminates, so we're happy.
So I always wanted to come back to Charleston. It was just like a dream of mine, and I always wanted to be in this like specific area. And so I would like always tell my husband that I'm like, this is the area I want to be in. He's like, okay. And then my girlfriend found this house. We came, it was so funny because it was over the summer actually. It was like 4th of July weekend. Yeah. And she like texted us a picture of the house and we were like, okay, we have to come down. We flew down the next day, made an offer that night, and then the people that were living in the house rented it back from us through the end of the year, and then now we're here.
Well, the first thing we needed to do was make sure there were floor plans. So once we got the floor plans, we kind of started with our spatial layout. And then from there, we looked at what existing pieces Bailey had collected and wanted to bring.
So that's honestly like the biggest gift that she ever gave me, was that she never let me buy like IKEA junk furniture. So since like right when I graduated college, I've just been collecting quality things. So it wasn't that hard. It wasn't like, oh my God, I'm 30 years old and I have to furnish this entire home. It was like, I actually already had a lot of things, little by little. So we're like, okay, I'm not getting rid of anything that I have. So besides the sectional, and we'll talk about that. But we started with those things, and then we were like, all right, this is how we want the house to feel. And then that was our starting.
We built it from there.
With art and like accessories, and just incorporated the old and added some new.
Especially the art.
Yeah.
The art was like this.
As you can see.
Yeah, this was like one thing that I was like, I really want to do. And that was kind of like the way this room started.
The inspiration for this.
It's how we wanted it to feel. We're like, oh, we want it to feel like this.
Like your grandmother's house, or somewhere that you just feel so comfortable and it feels so inviting.
Yes, but then it also has like fun pops because we're not grandmothers.
Granny chic.
Yeah. All right, now let's head outside onto my porch.
So this is Bailey's bonus room. It's a little porch screened in off of her living room. And I really think, Bailey only moved in here 3 weeks ago, but I predict that they're going to be living out here. So we wanted to make it like accommodate everything that they needed. They have a sectional out here. They have a little table out here so they can eat. I feel like they're going to be doing most of their meals here. We snuck a little TV and bar cart. We put a little art on the wall. That's the fish. A little nod to her husband's love of fishing.
This room is so comfy. Like my husband's already been laying out here. It's like, it's a whole other room because we really only have one living room that we're like, this is actually like our family room. And so we did this great, it's all outdoor furniture out here. This was a table you had at your beach house, and it's just kind of, we painted it and it's been like wherever. So whatever happens to it, happens to it. But this is great outdoor furniture out here.
But this is where like the fun and games will happen.
Exactly. It's really cozy at night too.
Yeah, it's really fun. We'll get some like lighting out here, etc.
Yeah. Okay, so this little table, I do take credit for it, was my idea, but
it was all her idea.
Honestly just the cutest little table, and the way that these chairs pull in, it's kind of like a pie shape, but it's nice because they can just tuck in and it can just be like a serving table or something. But I think we've only been here a few times, but we eat every single meal here.
Every meal here.
And you can just like hear the birds chirping, and there's a little school back there. You can hear the kids. It kind of just feels like a little oasis back here.
It was so purposeful because the space was tight in this corner, and so it tucks in. And believe it or not, these chairs are extremely
comfy.
So comfy.
And again, we had an opportunity for the cordless lamps here to give a little ambiance at night when they're dining.
Exactly. And then we still have our same indoor-outdoor carpet here. We painted, the wood out here was like a bunch of different colors, so we just painted it all this hunter green that you'll see a couple of times in the house. And we just love this little room.
So cute. Well, when we started planning this house, we always do this. We like to name the rooms. So we have a room that's called Megan's room and Lily's room and Bryn's room. So we kind of all can't help but make each room kind of like our personalities in a way, or like what our favorite things are.
Right. Even though they're like guest rooms in Bailey's houses, we always have to assign a personality to it so we can kind of build it from there.
Yeah, like it's so hard for us if clients don't assign the rooms. We're like, we need to know who's
We can't just call this
living in
bedroom 2. Like, who
Yes,
is
it
it?
has to be what
So
child
we'll
is
like
this
make
gonna
up a person that's gonna live
be? We need
in
an
the room.
avatar always.
So I mean, I love your room.
Yeah.
So she wears a ton of Johanna Ortiz clothing, and she did a collection with Schumacher. So we're like, okay, that has to be. We were like, that's
starting point.
obviously.
Yeah, when I found out Johanna Ortiz did a Schumacher collection and I fell in love with it, that was the inspiration for our room.
And then Lily's room is like, she loves, I don't know, your room at your beach house is blue and yellow, so I feel like we were like.
I like blue and yellow, and this is really weird, but I'm obsessed with sleeping in a twin bed. Like, I have the best night's sleeps in a twin bed. It's like, I don't know, it just brings me back. So
She's obsessed. Like, if we go to hotels, we always stay in the same hotel room because we just want to.
I'll take the cot.
She's like, cot, please. She's obsessed. So we did twin beds in her room. And then.
But you'll see later on when we get the tour how functional it is.
yeah, you can push them together to make a king bed.
Yes. And then my sister Bryn's room is also my husband's office where he works, and he's like extremely old-timey. Yeah.
Yeah, he's very old-timey.
So we were like, okay, we
And
have.
nautical.
Yeah, so we didn't want to make it anything like too crazy for him in there because that's not his vibe. And then my room, we just did like, it's white and blue, but then it has like fun pops of pink, and pink is my favorite color, but I didn't want to do it too crazy in the main living room, so I'm like, all right, I can do
But she
pink.
didn't want it too calm either. Like, when she first moved in, people would say, "This is so serene," and she was like, "Wait, what?"
I was like,
It's like
oh,
an
that's
insult.
actually like a huge insult. to
So
me.
she went out and got some stuff to
Yeah,
make
make
it.
it a little crazy.
So then I just like changed out all the lampshades to pink, and I'm like, okay, I feel like people won't say it's serene anymore.
Yeah, now you
And
say
it's
it's
kind
cute.
of all the colors in the house are cohesive. We have the blues, we have the pink, we have the green, a little bit pops of yellows, and
Little rattan and-
rattan, the natural.
So now we're in my mom's room.
She got the best room, of course.
Of course. So when we saw the Johanna Ortiz Schumacher collection, we were like, this has to be her room because like the skirt she's wearing, that's like literally her favorite brand. So that's what kind of made this room hers.
Yeah, and we like deviated a little bit from your colors here, but not too much.
Yeah.
We still have, we put the like the grass cloth on the walls, and then on the ceiling we did like the green and white stripes. So fun. And it ties in all the fabrics that are in here. I just love this fabric. Did we have this existing headboard?
Yeah, we had this headboard, and then we kind of just like worked everything in. And
So that was another one of our like repurposing. And then this is kind of our signature fabric, this rattan fabric. We love that. So it all blended together. And then again, we pimped out the accent pillow with some trim and the green, etc. And we do really, really comfy beds. So this is our coverlet, and then this is our duvet, and it's like
so you can
little
always
cloud.
tell an MGI bed. This is how we do it. We do our €3, our 2 shams, our fun accent pillow, comfy coverlet, and the best duvets ever.
They're so comfy.
So this is the other side of my bedroom. And what we did, Bailey had this in your very first apartment, this dresser. So it lasted, and we made it all work in here. This art is new, and I love this. It reminds me, we really deviated from the colors here, but it reminds me so much. We do big holidays in our house, and it's the husband and wife on vacation after the holidays. And that's kind of my husband and I's tradition. We kind of go away without the kids after throwing a huge Christmas for everybody. So that's why I love that. That's our little wink. We don't compromise. Compromise is a dirty word in our MGI handbook, because compromise, I feel like two people are losing. When there's something that needs to be decided on, we kind of like elevate it. We try and make it a little bit better. All right, what's not working? Okay, I see that. So we want to elevate, so we don't compromise.
Just do something else.
We
Yeah,
come
like
up with like
totally
better
different.
solutions. Yes, it's a good challenge. So that's what I would say. But there was I mean, just the size of this place.
It's so small, and we're like, okay, we have to fit. I'm really happy that, and you worked on this sizing, like so much of this sectional. I'm like, I want a big, comfy sectional, but this place is so small. So it was like, we tried to get every inch we could. And you'll also see that there's like no dining room in here. So that was kind of like the challenge of like, okay, like when my builder first walked in here, he was like, I have a question for you. Like, where do you fit a dining table? Like, yeah, you'll see. So we did a whole banquette situation. It's like we actually can have a real dining table, whereas I don't think anybody thought we could in this place.
And who doesn't love a banquet? Everybody loves a banquet.
We love a banquet. And then also with Lily, in your room, we were kind of like, we did the twin beds because you love them, but we were also going back and forth. Like, you kept saying to me, like, I have a bunch of king beds in here. You were like, we don't want to collect kings.
I didn't want kings everywhere. I was thinking, like, she's 30, down the road, she's going to have kids, and how we could move things around so we could sneak a crib in there without disrupting the room too much. And then even with our seating, everything's about, like, I call it heinies. How many heinies can we get on this sectional? How many heinies can I get over on the banquette? Everything's about seating, seating, seating. So this room has dual purpose. It's Bryn's room, the middle daughter, who's not here. It's her room, but we also needed it to function as Austin's office.
So we wanted to keep it really classic and do the blues because Austin is spending a lot of time in here.
Yeah, this room kind of is Austin's personality in a room with all these like old-timey, like classic. He's very, very old-timey. He doesn't know what Instagram is. He doesn't know who any celebrities are. He's basically just
all he knows about is his boats.
He's not from this time.
So we wanted to still bring in his fashion here. So we did this is really cool. It's actually like an old nautical flag, and we had it framed, and we framed it in navy. Over here, this is like the shrimp boats on Shem Creek, which Austin loves. My aunt gave me this piece of art. We have over there, we'll show you, we have a painting of Austin's boat. So this room, we wanted to just feel
like his happy place,
cozy, and then his desk over there.
So we mentioned before that Austin's kind of nautical. Bryn likes blues too. Yeah. So we thought we would bring all the blues into here. And Bailey actually had the navy blue. You had one of the navy blue nightstands.
Yeah, I had one of the nightstands, so we added the other. I had this bed already.
From your very first apartment. So we just freshened up the bedding. So we kind of gave like a little classic look over here.
It's cool. We don't usually do this, but we did a leather as the welt for the pillows, and it's the same leather that's on his desk chair. So that was kind of cool, and it's just a little needlepoint pillow, and it just feels like Ralph Lauren-y and cozy in here. I think the best design tip that my mom has taught me was just like nothing too precious. I think that's the way we design everything. Like you'll see here, we did all indoor outdoor carpets, like all this furniture's treated. Like the way she was growing up when we would have parties, like she has parties all the time. People spill red wine, and it's like, honestly, yeah, it's the coolest thing. It's like people are like, oh my God, I just spilled. She's like, no worries.
It's the best party trick to not be like a nervous host. It's like you get to just be like, oh, actually, this is gonna bubble right up and it's gonna be fine. And it's not like the party's like gets all silent and awkward.
It's like a little commercial.
Yeah.
So that's like the best thing that I was like, I want my house to feel like her house does, where it's like, you can come in, you can be comfortable, you don't have to take your shoes off, you can just be yourself and not have to worry about everything, and it just be really comfortable.
Yeah, because life happens. Nothing can be too precious.
Yeah.
So another good design tip that we've learned from my mom is that she always says to us and to clients that all blues play nice together. So especially we're doing so much coastal with so many blues. Some greens can be kind of tricky, but all blues really just look so pretty together. And like the more blues together, the more different shades, the better. It just looks so pretty.
I know all these rooms have like
a different shade of blue.
They all have
a blue,
and it all works.
A lot of times, something I learned from my mom when we're presenting to clients is if like one person in the family wants one thing and someone else wants another, she always says there's a million ways to do beautiful. And it's so true, because you could have your mind set on like this one idea, but like there's so many ways to make this like the prettiest house and so you, and
right.
Just like,
so that's part of elevating it. There's a million ways to do beautiful.
I feel like that always makes our clients and us feel like so comfortable. You're like, is this the best thing we could do?
But there's no right or wrong.
Right. There's a million ways that this house could have looked great. It was just, this is
so many paths that you can go down, and so many
right.
different like blending concepts that it's like.
That's why you gotta bring your personality in. Totally.
Yeah.
All right, so welcome into Lily's room.
So this is my room. I just wanted this room to feel like you're staying at your grandmother's house at the beach or something. So kind of a different twist on the old-timey, but still kind of old-timey. Like you would just have the best sleep of your life in one of these twin beds. And I did last night.
And you liked your twin bed. So there was a lot of back and forth debate on how to do this room. Lily really wanted to have her twins. Bailey saw this as like maybe her kids' or future rooms. And we didn't want to like start with kings and have the twins. We couldn't figure it all out. So what we came up with is we would just upholster this whole wall, kind of like, I don't even know what they are, whether they're queen headboards or what. I don't know what they're going to accommodate later. But they upholstered the wall. We put a twin bed in front of each of them. We also can push the twin beds together, put a king mattress pad on it and sheets and bedding, and it feels just like a king. But then the real trick is down the road when she does have like a crib or something in here, it works out perfectly. We can turn this bed around sideways so it'll be kind of like an L shaped, and then the crib can go over there. So we wanted to make it purposeful for now and for later, and then say she has 2 kids back again later, they can each have their own bed.
Okay, so there's a lot of fun art. Whenever I had a bunch of colorful art, and so I'm like, this is the room to do it in. So we have a little collage of just fun things. I have one of my favorite things is the happy pill. We have a little custom piece of art. My mom got each of us like a little picture of ourselves on there, and it's really cool. That's that little gun art's a local Charleston artist. There's a bunch of fun things. We've got our little crayon phone. We did cute things like we recovered the lampshades in here in the same fabric as the shams. Art over there, my cousin did this resin piece that was Austin and I's monogram. So there's just a lot of like really happy stuff in this room. I wanted it to feel sunshiny like the way Lily does. Okay, before we head upstairs, I want to show you this fish. So this was actually my husband's idea. My mom and I were FaceTiming. My husband and I were visiting the house, and we were FaceTiming, and we were like, what are we going to do here? We want to do something sculptural. And Austin's like, can we do a mount of one of the fish I caught? And we were like, that's actually a really good idea. And so this is a mount we had made of a wahoo that he caught. And my brother-in-law actually found that like hook and pulley thing, whatever it is, and we put it on the rope, and it makes my husband so happy. Okay, so now we're in my room. So my room, I kept it's a lot of the furniture's white, but I have these pops of pink, which make me really happy, and a lot of blue. I had all of this bedding from my last apartment, and I still love it, so that made me really happy. You'll see I deviated a little bit from the normal MGI formula and added an extra pair of shams because I couldn't decide on what fabrics I wanted to do. But behind my lamps so these signs were at the bar at my wedding, and it says, of all the gin joints in all the towns in all the world, she walked into mine, and that was my Mimi and Pop-Up's thing for each other, so it makes me really happy to have that in here. And then we just have 2 comfy swivels at the end of the bed, and it's good because Austin can sit there and like do some of his work and watch TV without actually sitting on the bed. Okay, so then I have a little bit of fun art here. I love this Donald print that he did. I've always been obsessed with Eloise, and my husband's always on the phone, so that's kind of our thing. You'll notice a lot of phone things around the house, so that makes me really happy. And then we have another little pop art. New York's also kind of our thing. So I wanted some happy, fun art in here. We did a like pretty little print on the drapes, and I just wanted this room to feel happy and make me feel good. We are both I'll speak for you too, so lucky to work with our mom every day. Like so many people are like, how do you work with your mom? Like we love working with our mom. She is the most open-minded person.
She's so funny too. Every single day we're belly laughing. It's like
there would not be a day we don't just like die laughing, even if it's because like this is so terrible.
Yeah, like laughing about how bad it is, but.
And she just like listens to us. She like, if we have an idea, she's like, let's do it. And sometimes it's a really bad idea and sometimes it's a really good idea, and we learn, but she lets us do it, and she never makes us feel bad, and she's just like authentically her all the time, whether you like it or not. And
there's no wondering how she's feeling. That's for sure. Which is good. We're not walking on eggshells. Like I think sometimes for other people who work with us, it's like were like, ew, that is so ugly. And there's no, you can just say whatever you want. I can't imagine working and not being able to just like say what's on my mind to your mom. Like
it's the way we can design together and run the business together is because we don't tiptoe around anything, and that's the way she raised us. Was we never lie. We always tell the truth.
Say it like it is.
And it's just like we get things done because it's like, no, we're not doing that. All right, you can't get your feelings.
Save a lot of time that way.
Yeah, you do.
So this is the ground floor, and Bailey had this good idea to add all of these cute lockers in here because there's honestly not that much storage, but it's storage in a little cute way.
So this space was like so scary and gross before, so we added like a little air conditioning unit. We painted everything. We kind of cleaned it up, put an indoor-outdoor carpet because like it actually could flood down here. And then we just added all these cute lockers because it's really the only place we have to store like beach chairs, cleaning supplies. Like I put my weights down here and I do my workouts down here. So it's
just
also
another little bonus.
Yeah, and it's actually the way we enter into the house a lot. So it kind of makes us happy to have these like cute little blue lockers.
Our family is so close, so there's 3 girls and then our parents and then everyone's significant other. So I feel like home to us is a place where the 8 of us can all be comfortable and all have like just good accommodations, like our own bedroom that suits our personalities and enough places to sit inside and outside, like a place for the boys to grill, the girls to sit on the couch, like everything like that.
And work.
Yeah, and
we
work.
all live like all over the place now, so it feels so good when we're here to all just be like, we're comfortable here, like we all have a place where we can hang out. We love just like our favorite thing to do is just like sit around and talk. So
we don't watch TV. We always say that our TV is just sitting around and talking.
We're all together.
Yeah.
We just like to sit around and talk, and we get really cozy on the sectional. That's why it was so important for me. I was like, I want a big sectional. I want us all to like be comfy and like lay here and talk about the night
boys
before.
are going to get on here and throw the pillows, and they're going to
like that's fine. It's not
spill
having
their coffee, etc. But it's no, never mind. We just blot it up.
We don't want to be yelling at them to like be neat. So it's.
And home is also definitely for us about family, but then it's about infusing it with your personality.
Totally.
So just making sure that everybody feels really comfortable, having their favorite things around, having art that makes them happy, just anything that like is comfortable and makes them happy, where they can kind of let their hair down and just relax.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Caroline Lenny. Welcome to the Birdhouse in Charleston, South Carolina.
Watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. If you're looking to make your own space more homeworthy, we've teamed up with Cherish, our go-to online destination for chic, one-of-a-kind finds, sourced from the world's most wonderful vendors.
Mercury drops are from an artist I found on Cherish.
Whether we're after a bold statement piece or the perfect finishing touch, Cherish has extraordinary items that leave a lasting impression.
This table I bought on Cherish from Berlin, and it has a little bit of it's a tray, and it is mid-century, and it's one of my favorite pieces.
It's where we find iconic looks to set homes apart.
I think many dealers would agree that Cherish is the absolute best.
So to support Homeworthy and discover amazing items from Cherish, scan the QR code or click on the link below to start shopping.
My name is Caroline Lenny. I am a founder of a marketing agency, and welcome to my home in Charleston, South Carolina. I have lived in this house for about 3 years now. 3 years ago, we did a complete renovation, and I brought my sense of color and wonder to this home. I call it the Birdhouse because it has a bird on the front, and I love living here. I used to live down the street from this house, and every day I would come home and pass it on my way home from work, and I would always say to myself, if someone got their hands on that, that could be such a magical place to live. And then when I saw it come on the market, I pounced on it and was so excited to completely redo the whole space and bring lots of color and put my own touch on the house. We did a lot of renovations on the place, nothing major like walls torn down, etc. And we have all the original floors, which is one of my favorite things about the house, and the original windows, which are very old. That house is about 90 years old. However, we redid the paint colors, we kind of redid the flow, and just brought it to this era while still keeping its charm. Welcome to my living room. The hero, my favorite part of the living room, is this yellow couch with pink piping. I dreamed of a yellow couch, and I actually found this couch on clearance at Anthropologie on the floor. I made my brother carry it through the entire mall into a truck, so shout out to him. I love it. I sit on it every single day. Above the couch is this gallery wall, which is a collection of my favorite artists and things that mean a lot to me. This portrait right here, I got done in Paris by an artist that I love in college, which I've been saving it for many years. This other portrait my dad did of me when I was very young. This print, maybe this is how it starts, is just something that inspires me every day with wonder, like maybe today is when something great begins. So I love that mindset and that print. My dad is also an artist, and this painting here, this print far over here, is a picture of my mom, my grandma, and my aunt sewing when they were featured in a magazine, kind of similar to Homeworthy. So I love that picture to just shout out to the generations of women who have been such artists in my life. We got lots of color happening with the pillows. The more pillows, the better, so I love those. The rug here kind of brings all of the color together. It's one of my favorites, kind of bringing the couch to the floor, then up here to the fireplace, so I love the rug with the clear coffee table. Because this is a small space, we kind of had to break it up a little bit, so that kind of gives you some relief for your eye in the middle of the room. Here is my teal chair that I love, also from Anthropologie, and then some prints above it. I love butterflies. I have a thing with butterflies, so you'll notice a lot of butterflies in this house. We transition over here to the fireplace that we painted pink on the bricks to actually match the pink lining of the windows. So I'm all about the details, and I love that we did these little things throughout the house, especially the lining of the windows to match the fireplace. This painting is one of my all-time favorites. This is actually one of my first freelance projects in college. I did a website in swap for this painting by an artist named Tina, and I love it every day. I think of our early beginnings, so I love this painting with lots of color. One of my favorite things to do is to restyle my coffee table, but right now we have a few coffee table books featured, some coasters, candles important, and my favorite part is a few matches from my match collection in this little heart dish from my mom. I love collecting matches. It's just like such a great memento to remember where we've been and where we go. And then I made these matchbooks for my house, actually, for takeaway guests for my birthday party last year. It says a special occasion is today, which is something I always try to remember. And I love keeping those for guests in my house. We are in a smaller space, so something I thought about when designing this space is how can we bring more light in here and make the most of the space. Something that has helped is this mirror. I find that mirrors on walls, we just kind of help see the space a little bit more. Other things is I'm always trying to declutter, get rid of stuff, which is basic, but it is very helpful. This is where my TV is and all my treasures and books I kind of store in this piece of furniture. Some highlights. This picture is one of my favorites. It's of the house originally when it was built in 1930s. So I love kind of honoring that and remembering where the birdhouse came from. So that's a special picture that the owners shared with me when I bought the house. Others are pictures of my family. I love the bright pop of these coffee table books. I love a coffee table book. And then inside is kind of where the rest of my collections and collected items goes. Next, we're gonna head into my kitchen. So this is my kitchen, one of my favorite rooms in the house. One of my favorite things about the room is my blue retro fridge. As soon as I toured the house, before it was in this state, I knew that this was a house that needed a retro fridge. So we did start planning the design around this fridge, which inspired a lot of the room. We'll move around here, and these countertops were actually in the house. So we tried to use as much that was in the house during the major renovation as we could. So we kept these countertops, and I love them. I think they give kind of a retro feel, and I love the rich blue color that they bring into this space. Along with the countertops, we also kept the cabinets. And all we did was we added some new brass hardware and some trim to the cabinets, and it was such an easy way to elevate a cabinet door that was otherwise kind of bland and brought a lot of texture to the room, so without having to replace them. So I do love my cabinets and all the hardware. You'll notice also we painted the inside of these windows blue, just like we did in the family room pink, to bring that color pop into the room without having to coat the whole room. I think I ordered hundreds of samples, but we finally landed on this one that really brings all the colors together in the space. So we have the pink from the living room, we have this dark blue from the countertops, we have some yellow, which is my big yellow light in the middle, and it brings it all together, and I love it. I was so afraid I would get sick of it, but I haven't yet. It really is a great backdrop for the kitchen and a different take, because it's this fun floral pattern, which you don't always see in a kitchen space. I love this big yellow light in my kitchen. When looking for a light fixture, it was kind of a mystery, like what should we do? But we pulled in this more modern yellow light, which kind of ties together all the different textures and pieces in this house without giving it too old of a feel. I also think the modern light up against this girly floral wallpaper allows it to work. It allows you to imagine this space. So I love my big yellow light. And this butcher block was an amazing Facebook Marketplace find. I love Facebook Marketplace, especially in Charleston. It's just an old butcher block I got from a really nice lady. And it has some storage in here, which is very key for a smaller space. And I love how it looks kind of old and worn and used. Underneath here for seating, we have two white stools that pull out and allow this butcher block to turn into a table, because we don't have a dining room in this space, which has been a great way to be able to have a dining table and a usable workspace in the kitchen at the same time. This is my farmhouse sink. This was a little bit of a puzzle during the renovation process to think about how do we fit a sink in here. There used to be a very old, very crusty, very bad sink in here. So we tore it out and put in this new, fresh farmhouse sink with this gold faucet that's mounted on the wall, which I love the wall mount. I think it adds a very farmhouse feel. And we also fit a dishwasher in here, which was kind of a miracle. So we have a dishwasher and the sink, and I love it. You'll see above these windows and in the windows throughout the house, I got these bamboo shades, which add this natural feel that kind of ties in the floors and the middle piece here. And I think it gives such an organic bungalow feel throughout the house and some consistency room to room. So you'll notice these in my bedroom, in the living room, etc. This piece of the kitchen was actually completely new. So what you just saw over here, it was original, and this was a new piece. So during the design process, we kind of asked, how do we make it look like it blends? In the attic of the house, we actually found some of the tile that's the same tile as the countertop. So we were able to bring it over here and turn it into the backsplash, which really brings the two pieces together and was just kind of a stroke of luck. So I love that, and the way the cabinets fit together. We have some cookbooks over here featuring my hometown and some of my other favorite chefs that I love. Some colorful dish towels to add that I like to change out seasonally just for some fun. Candle, my Le Creuset, all the essentials. This is my bar cart. I love the raffia and bamboo influence. I also kind of hate working with black. I never really use black, but we were able to bring some black in to tie into like the oven and the other black pieces that you see, kind of give it a grounding feel. But I complemented the black with a lot of colorful glasses. We have a lamp, which brings in a lot of light. I love adding a little lamp to any space, especially a bar cart in a kitchen. I love a lamp in a kitchen. And then this piece is something I found in an antique store, and it says, "In this house of peace and rest, we welcome you, our lovely guests." Before the renovation in this kitchen, there was some sticky tile placed on top of these beautiful hardwoods. And so when we pulled it up, we were so excited to see that the floors were intact, and we just did some refinishing, and now they're not perfect, but I like the imperfect, beautiful original look of them. Another thing we did in the kitchen was bring this beadboard in with this chair rail trim and allow us to use wallpaper without it being overwhelming. And I love that it brings some relief to your eye, but still some character. So it is a new piece, but it looks kind of original. My go-to design tip is just, if you love it, it will all look great together. And my other tip is I started collecting stuff for my future house since I was very young, and that has definitely paid off. It was a little crazy at the time because you don't have a house yet. However, it has filled my house with so many treasures that mean so much to me, and that has been really fun over the years to see it come to life in this space. I think what I love most about my home is that it's small and it kind of feels like a dollhouse, but also it's just such a fulfillment of my childhood dreams. I kind of designed it thinking of like what myself as a young girl would love. I grew up going to a lot of open houses and home tours on the weekends with my parents, and I loved color and sewing and crafting and just what art meant. I was also addicted to HGTV as a young child, and so I always dreamed of a renovation, and this house was my first try and kind of my first fulfillment of those early dreams. I would describe my personal style as eclectic and very collected, but fun and approachable, kind of that classic meets bohemian meets color. I kind of like to say I just identify things as, okay, that looks like me, and I bring it into my house. But we have a lot of stuff in here that I've collected over the years from a lot of traveling, a lot of my family members, a lot of things that have been passed down, or things I see that I just love. Next, I'd love to show you my bedroom. Welcome to my bedroom. The best part about my bedroom is my green bed. I wanted a big, bright pop of color, and the green definitely achieved that. However, it's still a bedroom, still a place to relax and wind down. So I tried to think about how do we combine the green with some more relaxing textiles and colors. So we brought in this blue shade, which is my favorite, and this brown throughout the linens, which I think really ground the green, but also give it its moment. This was a big wall, so when we thought about what art to put on the wall, I had these prints that I brought back from Italy, and I complemented by getting some inexpensive frames and spray painting them and then arranging it in this unexpected order to bring in some color that matches the lampshades and the beds, but also that brown grounding color in the prints. These two side tables were a Facebook Marketplace find, and I love that it has two levels here so that you can really show off a lot of these coffee table books and little tchotchkes and things that I collect. So on this one, we have two boxes from the World Fair. So they made these for World Fairs throughout the country, and I have one throughout the world, actually. I have one from Italy and one from Paris. And I love those. I found them at a flea market in Milan, Italy. So those boxes are really special. And then I have it complemented with some classic gray Malin coffee table books, some other jewelry boxes, and other little figurines. I love these lampshades. They're fabric lampshades that are pleated and bring a lot of color against this neutral lamp. This painting is also painted by my dad of me as a little girl in northern Michigan, which is my other favorite place to be. Now we'll go over to the other side table. Same lamp happening over here with this matching lamp and lamp shade. And then again, I love the two levels here because it allows you to display a lot of stuff without it feeling too cluttered. So on the bottom level, I have some of my favorite books and other little nightstand things to hold my jewelry, etc. A picture of my mom and I, and some more boxes, including this bleak heart and this Magnificat print that I found also at an antique store. I love Belique. A lot of the women in my family are Belique collectors because we're very Irish, so you'll see that throughout my home as well. This painting is from my grandparents' house. My grandma so generously gave it to me. I have so many fond memories of it being displayed in their hallway. So during dinner parties and holidays, I would always see it and imagine myself one day being at some type of ball like these colorful ladies are. So I love waking up to it in the morning. This is my dresser, another Facebook Marketplace find. I was really looking for this vintage refinished pine feel, and this one really struck the exact thing I was looking for. On top, I added this tray that holds all of my jewelry. I love jewelry, so we always have little boxes and little trays to hold my earrings and all sorts of things that I love to collect. This mirror is actually from HomeGoods. I found it and just loved the floral wood design. We have a blue lamp with this scallop shade to bring in the scalloped bedding as well. I also love this dresser because I try to think about when I'm buying furniture pieces, if, God forbid, I went to a new home, this dresser could also work in a living room with bar stuff on top, or it could go in different places. So I love that this piece will be with me for a lifetime. Here I also have this little candelabra moment I also got at a thrift store. Above my bed is this chandelier that I love, and around the top, this was actually original in the kitchen, and I took it off and I spray painted it and painted it blue to match the fridge and the paint under the awnings, and I put it up here with this chandelier that has this floral white ironwork, so it really adds a feminine touch to the bedroom. Next, I'd love to show you my bathroom. Welcome to my bathroom. I love this bathroom, especially the wallpaper. We chose this butterfly print that brings in this yellow that you actually see this from the kitchen. So it is the same line with that big yellow light in my kitchen, and also some new colors with these blues and greens. We added this cafe curtain for privacy, which was a great inexpensive trick and adds that charming feel. These bathroom floors are also original, and I love the white and black check. When we did the renovation, we took off some black molding around the bottom to kind of take that black out and bring in this white, light, airy feeling. We added this trim on the bottom and brought the tile up as well, which is a great wallpaper saver because you only have to do half the wall, and that allowed us to do wallpaper throughout the bathroom. These built-ins in the bathroom are one of my other favorite things about the house. They are original and also provide a ton of storage and charm. We added these brass features on the sides to bring in the brass elements from the kitchen. And then also in the bathroom, this mirror is also another original built-in, and it opens up to storage. And I love the framing, and I also love that we kept these original features of the home and didn't tear it out and worked with it, as they add a lot of charm now that I live here. This vanity we brought in, I love the hardware that brings the blue, these are leather handles with brass, brings the blue into this piece of furniture with the same brass hardware as the kitchen. And I love the little accessories such as this pink tray to feature candle, perfume, etc., and bring some character into the bathroom space. And the soap dish over here, like I said, I love collected items. The soap dish I actually got in Budapest when I was studying abroad and carried it all the way home, and now it sits on my vanity every day with soap from Paris. I love the colors, and I also love having these things in my daily life that reminds me of my great memories of travel. This piece brings me so much joy. It's titled Sunshine, and I got it from a thrift store. At the time, I was like, what in the world am I going to do with this? And it came in perfect, and it brought in the yellow. I do love how it's a little bit unexpected. Just like they say in fashion, with the wrong shoe theory, I love practicing the wrong art theory. I kind of thought about bringing in something soft or simple as an art piece above the toilet, but I love that we did this bold, funny, funky print. I started Migrate Marketing, which is my marketing agency, about 2 years ago. However, I was always doing content creation and digital marketing freelance since I was in college. So I started building it then, and I moved to Charleston about 4 years ago and found that this is just the perfect city for people who are creators or making or doing something exciting. So we kind of jumped into that, and now we come alongside lifestyle brands who need digital marketing help. So we do web and socials and ads and branding and everything that comes along with a digital brand. The Birdhouse, my house, is a 1930s bungalow in Charleston, South Carolina, and the door here, the front door, is to my right. And you come in on the porch, and then this is my living room, and then you head into the kitchen, and then there's 2 bedrooms to the left, so it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house, and then we have a laundry room off the back, and then it goes into my backyard. Next, I'd love to show you my guest bedroom. Before I head into my guest bedroom, I'd love to share the things in my hallway. So originally, this was an old phone booth in the home, and I turned it into this place to feature this grotto art. We painted the back blue and put in this perfectly fitting statue that features Lourdes, France, which is one of my favorite places, and it just brings me so much joy every day. And then above it, in an old frame, I put a wallpaper sample, which is a great way to use wallpaper samples, is picture matting. And then above is just a note that I found in my grandma's things that I took from her home that says, don't just pray about what seems logical and possible, pray hard about the impossible. Because nothing is impossible with God. Ever, period, end of story. And I love that it features her handwriting and her heart in my hallway. Welcome into my guest bedroom and my office. This is a small space. So we really had to think about how we would make the most of it. So we brought in this day bed, which I love. It gives this couch-like feeling, but it's still super comfortable for guests. And then I put this sisal rug with scallops. You'll notice a scallop trend throughout. That kind of grounds the room and brings in that bohemian vibe. For my desk chair here, I found this on Facebook Marketplace as well. It was $10. And I love the mixed pattern and the unlikely wear of the chair. It has this crisscross back and then this turquoise painted wood as well. On this bed, I kept the linen simple and then complemented it with colorful pillows that I like to change in and out, and then a throw blanket that also brings that color in. Color, color, color. That's the theme of this house for sure. And then we also added this light from IKEA that kind of hangs over the bed, and especially when it's on at night, it gives a spotlight and focus to the bed and brings some more intimate lighting into the space. Behind is a blue painting that I don't even know where it came from, but I love the blue color and it hangs on the wall. Also, we added shiplap to this room, which really helped bring what were really old walls, worn out walls, a new life, and brings that cottage, cozy, beachy feeling in here. So that really cleaned up the space. And then this is just bookshelf full of some of my favorite reads and some more art on the top. This is my little desk that I love. I work here often when I'm not working from my office. I love the scallop detail on the desk, and the fact that it's a little bit worn out kind of indicates that we're working hard to me. And then above it, we have some art. This painting was done by my friend Emily. This is a simple quote. And then this light actually was the original light fixture on the exterior of the home that you can see in the Polaroid in my living room. We brought it inside the house and I spray painted it gold, and it sits here as a reminder of the original character of the home. Storage in a small house is always hard, so I have little closets throughout the house. This is one of them underneath my stairs where I keep a lot of my coats and a lot of my shoes. And then here are a few pictures from when I studied abroad in Italy that just call back the wonderful memories of travel. Behind this door in the guest bedroom leads to my blue steps and our attic loft. Welcome to my attic space. This is a fun bonus space we just recently redid. So in the front part here features my little sewing craft corner up here. And when I was designing this space, I always thought about what would my dream scenario be as a little girl. So this is kind of a little girly hideaway and craft corner upstairs. Here we have a little reading nook and bed in the front. And then in the back, we have a full bed mattress with fun pillows. I'd love to take you to this back room next, but definitely watch your head. because it's a little bit short up here. This is the back part of my attic. The bed here, this is a quilt that my great-grandmother made. I love the colors. With a few throw pillows, the bamboo blinds we brought up here as well. And then on either side of the bed, a few art pieces, coffee table books, and decoration around the bed. And these are the original attic floors that were up here, and we painted them blue, and I love the painted floor look with the little gaps in between. It feels very charming to me. The shiplap on the walls really crisped up the space in complement to the floors. I think any home comes alive with those personal touches, your personal collections. I am a meaning maker. I love to make meaning. So notes from grandparents or art from your house or things with a memory, I find really bring the house some roots and some life, which I love. The second thing I would say is color. I love color. There's a lot of color in here, and art. Next, we'll go back downstairs and I'll show you my laundry room. And back to the kitchen. Welcome to my little laundry room. We were able to fit a laundry machine here, and then next to it, storage is important in a small house. So we fit this shelf and then complemented it with these baskets that are straw and hide a lot of things like linens and shoes, etc. very well. And then hats for extra charm and storage. And then this is a great ledge for plants. This is a great drop spot. We put this bench here where you can put bags, shoes, all of the things as you come through the house. The floors in here are a floral tile that features that blue color throughout the house and also look a little bit worn. Guests often ask if they're original. The answer is no, but I love thinking that they might be. Next, I love to take you to my front porch. Welcome to my front porch. This is my favorite place to sit in the morning, have dinner at night, share a glass of wine with a guest. This is a great white bistro set and it gives a fresh Serena and Lily feel. And then we have an outdoor rug here and a bench for extra seating. And I love the view of the azaleas outside my porch right now because it's spring. The ceiling is blue. A lot of homes in Charleston have a blue porch ceiling. This is the same blue that's on the awnings. It also matches the fridge on the inside. So I love bringing that into the outdoor space. And this rug is a Lowe's clearance find, but it does bring in the teal colors inside my family room, which is right through this door. To me, home is a place where we wait for heaven. It is a special place that we get to gather and live and where our day-to-day unfolds. For me, my house and my home is a creative outlet. It's a place where I can be creative and live my artistic life every day. Homeworthy, it was so fun showing you around my home in Charleston, South Carolina, and I hope to see you again soon.
Oh, hey, Homeworthy. Welcome to Charleston. My name is Monica, and I'm so excited to give you a tour of my home. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Before today's episode, click the join button below to support all of the storytelling we do on this channel. Our growing community of members help to directly fund more videos so we can capture these extraordinary homes from around the world. So join today to receive early and exclusive access to new Homeworthy videos.
Hi, my name is Monica Lavin. I'm based in Charleston, South Carolina, and I am the owner of a company called Art of the Entry, where we offer exterior accents for your entry. Like I said, we moved here about 3 years ago, and we actually moved from Savannah, Georgia. We lived in an older home that was built in the 1800s, and so when we were moving to Charleston, we actually wanted to find something that was totally opposite. And so we found this house. It was built in 2001, and Mainly the difference is that it's a much more open floor plan, which works really well because my daughter loves to like ride her scooter throughout the inside. So I feel like there's just a lot more space. I feel like it's just modern living. When I first walked into this house, I think what I always envision when we're looking at homes to buy is, where am I gonna put the Christmas tree? I don't know if anyone else does that, but that's something that my husband and I do. And so whenever we first walked in, we looked to the right, and really there was this amazing place right next to our staircase that had really high ceilings. And we looked at each other and said, all right, that's it. And welcome to my front porch, which is actually one of my favorite places in my house. We spend a lot of time here, like I said, eating popsicles, doing crafts, and just talking about the day. So when I envisioned this porch, I really thought about having wicker chairs. These are actually from Mainly Baskets, which is a company that I love. And this console table is actually one of my really good friends, Julia Berolsheimer. She did a collection with Pottery Barn, and I just love the sweet scallops and the green for a pop of a soft color on the porch. I love how it's shaded. I love the plantation shutters, and really this is just where my daughter and I come out here. She has a little fairy garden that is to the left of us that she goes and plays with, and I can just sit here and honestly like read a book or drink some coffee. I would say the most favorite thing about my house is my front porch. And the reason being is that when my daughter comes home from school, we'll go and get a popsicle and sit on the steps, and it's just this feeling that evokes inside of me. It reminds me of my childhood. We have beautiful weather here, so it's just, it's a way that I'm really just kind of hoping that I'm creating these memories for my daughter. But now it's time to come inside, so come this way to my foyer. Foyer is actually kind of small, but it gets a lot of use, and it's mainly because of my husband's piano that I've talked about. He plays most mornings, and my daughter will come down in a dress, and she gets on our little entry rug and thinks it's her stage, and she starts dancing. So even though it is kind of this like small area that sits between our dining and our living room, it definitely gets a lot of use in our house. And then the artwork that we have above the piano is actually from a local artist. His name is Rick Reinhardt, and it's a view of downtown Charleston, specifically Wentworth and King, which is where I used to work at the College of Charleston. These sweet little chairs that I put on either side are actually from Casey's mom. I just loved the curve of them and that they were lower and also more petite. And then these paintings that we have above it are actually things that we snagged when we were in Italy. I just love the colors. As you can tell, I'm drawn to blue. And so these really caught my eye. And then again, I just put a sweet little plate above just for a pop of a different element, kind of a different material. And then the stage I was talking about with my daughter is this beautiful rug that actually has some reds and burgundies, colors I don't typically kind of lend to, but I loved it in this space. And this was just an antique find at one of the markets. A lot of the light fixtures that we have in the house are actually from Circa Lighting, and the owner lives in Savannah, Georgia, which is where we used to live prior to Charleston. And so I love to incorporate her pieces whenever I can. This one, I just loved the white with the pop of gold. I thought it was simple, yet it had just such a beautiful design, and I really think it goes well in this space. And I'm sure many of you have a plate collection, so this is mine. I actually got a lot of these pieces whenever I went antiquing with my mom, so they're pretty special to me. I don't have a big collection yet, and so I just have, these are my favorites that I put kind of flanking each side of our front door. So when I'm looking to add to my collection, for me, it's really about the shape of the plate. As you can see here, they're not just really a square or round. They have some scalloped edging, even this one up here, little baby scallops, which I think are so cute. And honestly, my advice would be to just kind of go to things that you love, right? So whether it's the color, whether it's the pattern motif, I obviously love floral, so I'm drawn to the floral design. I love this sweet little pattern, but honestly, I think it just has to be whatever speaks to you. I don't think there are any rules when you're starting a plate collection. I moved to Charleston about 3 years ago, and I would say when I first moved into this house, I really wanted it to feel light and airy and fresh, also relaxing. I have a little 4-year-old at home, a little girl, and so I wanted her to be able to feel free and play and get things dirty without it feeling a little too stuffy. When we first walked into the house, the previous owners actually really had great taste and style. It just wasn't necessarily what I was envisioning for being on the coast and being in this kind of like white picket neighborhood that we live in. And so I took a lot of the bold colors, a lot of navies, plaid, there were a lot of oriental rugs, and just really brightened it up. So a lot of the rooms are actually white, which is something that I haven't done in a previous house. And then I added some floral patterns. I guess you could say I have a little bit of the grand millennial style there. But yeah, just kind of wanted it to be clean and like I said initially, like fresh. And so really just getting out some of the bold patterns that they had in here. So now I can take you to our formal living room, which is just right off the entry. Just follow me. Obviously, this is where my daughter likes to play in the mornings, especially since my husband's playing the piano. You know, I guess part of the decor is her dollhouse that's in here. But I also have some antique pieces that I found really throughout markets and just antiquing. One is this chest here, which again, I just loved kind of how delicate it was and the femininity of it. All right, and then for our fireplace, it's a gas fireplace. We actually really don't get that many cold temperatures in Charleston, so sometimes whenever it hits 60, I turn on the fireplace. But I love it in this room. I feel like it grounds it makes it homey. And again, I had just an area where I could put some plates, of course, so I did. And this right here is one of our frame TVs that we use. I love it because it really sits flat against the wall. And the design is actually from one of my really good friends who also lives in Charleston, and her name is Jordan Connolly. I just love the colors, and I thought that it fit well with the rest of the room. These spindle chairs have been with me in about 3 homes. So here I went ahead and just recovered them in one of my favorite fabrics. I loved the darker tones of the wood because really in this room I have a lot of new pieces like this coffee table and this sofa that I have, a lot of pastels and light colors, and so I wanted to find some things that really grounded it, like the darker tones in the furniture, but then also this beautiful antique piece that I have. And one of my favorite coffee table books is actually called Mother and Child from Claiborne Frank, and it was a gift whenever I had Julia from one of my dearest friends, and it actually made me cry. So it's definitely one that I hold close to my heart. So again, here's the collection of my coffee table books. Mine are really focused on probably gardening, but also interiors. I love architecture. I love Veranda magazine. I just love pieces that also have a beautiful cover and that speak about the home. I love this piece that I got from an auction. I love the shape of it. I love how it's petite. I've brought it with me for a couple of homes. I won't let it go. The drawers are so delicate. And I also love that it's black because I feel like it just really kind of brings that, like that aha moment to a room. I actually graduated from college with a master's in education. And I quickly realized that I didn't want to be a teacher. And so I really transitioned into higher education, which still worked with my educational background, but really threw me in the world of technology, which was great because that's really where I learned how to use social media, blogging, podcasting, really all of the emerging technologies that connect with people, right? I mean, it's all about relationships. So then from there, I was actually getting my doctorate, and I realized that I didn't want to stay in the world of technology, and I started a blog. I'm pretty sure everybody second guessed what I was doing. I did myself, but I knew it was the right way to go. And so I started Lavin Label probably about, oh my goodness, like 8 to 10 years ago, and really fell in love with the creativity. I love the interiors of homes, but specifically, I'm sure you can guess it, I loved the exterior entry. I felt like it really gave a glimpse into the owner's personality. And so throughout the years, I really started focusing on the exteriors, and then that led me to starting Art of the Entry, which I just launched about 2 weeks ago. So it's a really exciting time. I would describe my style as timeless, but using heritage pieces that really ground it. And that's also how I kind of look at Art of the Entry. I create these elements that are rooted in history, but really have a fresh, new perspective. And here I wanted to create something really special. And so I actually lacquered the ceiling a light blue. I added this beautiful floral pattern from Schumacher. It's actually one of my favorites. And then one of my good friends is an artist in Savannah, Georgia, Margaret Monsees, and she actually created and painted these beautiful botanical prints. And at first I didn't know if it actually worked because flowers on flowers, but I put them up and I actually really fell in love with how it anchors this wall. Another statement piece in this room, I think, is the chandelier. I love it. It has also, again, along with the theme, some floral notes and designs that I just really love. I love the pop of gold. I think it adds just a little bit of elegance to other rooms that are kind of just a bit more casual and look lived in. I ended up having these chairs recovered in a light blue performance fabric because we do eat in here. My daughter eats in here. She eats spaghetti with meat sauce in here. And so I definitely needed something practical. But this is a performance fabric by Tebow. And I really loved just the softness of it, but also that it was durable. And then I would say my biggest splurge, which I don't know if I've even told my husband this yet, is my dining room table. It's one of my favorites. It was custom made. It's from Dunes and Duchess, and I loved the darkness of the top, but also I was able to pick a custom color for the base, and it is just this beautiful shape. I've always wanted a round table in my dining room, and this house, I finally went with it. So like I said, I really wanted a dining room that was a bit more formal because we do host a lot. And one of those reasons being is that my husband is one of 8 kids. And so when the whole family comes together, like, you know, we need a lot of space. So these chairs are actually probably a little bit too large when they come. So we swapped these out for something a little bit more dainty. And my husband is actually the cook in the family, which is really great for me because I can then focus on like setting the tables and make sure the lighting's just right. So we kind of just do a lot of family style meals in here. And then the table is actually pretty versatile because whenever it's just me, my husband, and my daughter, we come in here and have pasta and whatnot, and we can move some of the chairs out. Obviously, we remove some of the large vase and the arrangements so that we can see each other. But this is a pretty special room for me. And then what I think gives a house or a home some soul and personality is bringing in some pretty personal kind of artifacts or artwork. And so these are actually menus that we've had from just a bunch of restaurants that we visited that actually are our favorite. This one I had framed when it was kind of our probably like second international trip where we went to London and had tea at the Ritz. And then my husband is in hospitality, so he has experience with restaurants and high-end hotels. And so this is actually a menu from one of the restaurants that we met, which is the Charleston Grill. And it was his farewell dinner years and years ago when we left Charleston. And it's just such a special memory for me that I decided that's what I was going to do for the walls in the dining room. When I started Lavin Label, the best thing about it was I was able to experience a bunch of different design styles. So I would go to some friends, I would go to some houses that I was showcasing, and I got to see the whole spectrum, right? Things that were super colorful to things that were very modern. And because of that, I feel like I really was able to hone in on my style. and I wasn't scared to have a house that was all white, and I thought it kind of more of a challenge, I guess, in a way. So when I started Lav & Label, I really had the experience of seeing a bunch of different styles from homes that I was showcasing, but also homes that I were renovating. And so this is probably our, oh my goodness, like 4th house that we've renovated and designed. And so because I've had so many options, I guess one, I could play with color, the other I could play with pattern, and then now you're seeing a house that is a bit more softer and sophisticated. And this area is actually where we have our Christmas tree. It's usually minimum 10 feet tall. We really go big for Christmas, but the next room up is gonna be our den. This is our den, which is arguably the most used room in our house, especially because I'm cooking and Julia is in here typically building a fort, and always on the days when I have someone helping me clean. And this is Gracie. She is our dog that we've had for 15 years, and this is her special spot that she loves. And luckily, she is a good neutral in this room. So as you can probably tell right by now, I'm drawn to like light, airy pastel colors. So in here, I wanted to have a lot of fun, obviously with this sofa that again is a performance fabric because we eat in here, we have snacks, we watch TV, just all the things of what a young family does. So I went ahead and chose this really beautiful aqua color. I wanted to bring in a pattern, but very soft, and so I brought in this sweet little climbing vine on the window panels that actually works, matches the armchair, the club chair that we have here. I wanted a soft ottoman, something that when Julia was learning to walk, like she couldn't get hurt. Again, it's performance fabric. She stands on here, jumps on the couch, jumps on the chairs. You know, like I said, we really live in our home. And then these sweet chairs are swivels, and these are from Gabby. And my husband doesn't typically allow me to bring pink in some rooms, but for this room, he was okay with it. So I rolled with it and ended up doing these sweet little blush chairs. And then this is another special piece of artwork. This is actually St. Philip's Church, and it's the church where we got married in Charleston, South Carolina. We got married in 2011, and again, it's by one of our favorite painters, Rick Reinert, who has a studio downtown on King Street. So I guess the main piece in this room, the focus piece, is this really beautiful original painting of a marsh. I would actually rather live on the marsh than on the ocean. I don't know if everyone else could agree with that, but I just feel like it's peaceful. I love the colors. This is really probably when it's fall, when all of the marsh grass starts to change, this beautiful golden hue, oranges, and I just loved it. It spoke to me, and I really loved it in this room because I have a lot of color with the pinks and yellows and greens, and I thought it could use something that was a bit more dynamic. All right, and then over here, we have our shelving. Again, we have our frame TV. This is where my daughter really loves to watch Bluey. If you haven't seen Bluey yet, it's like one of the best shows out there. Anyway, a fun fact about me, I hate styling bookshelves. It is something that I just really don't like it. I feel like it's not a strength of mine. Give me a room, give me a coffee table, I can style all day. Bookshelves, I think it just, for me, it's like a lot of clutter, but I did my best. I think my mom would be proud. Here, again, I just have a collection of all of my coffee table books, these sweet brass bookends that are, again, of an English Springer. Yeah, I think they're English Springers. And then again, with just some beautiful vases that I've collected over the years and some family photos. So for the side tables, I actually picked something that I felt had a bit more of a modern shape. I also went with something round because all of the other pieces in this room are square and a bit more traditional. And so I wanted something that was a bit more, just kind of like a bit more modern. I actually love the texture of the actual base, if you can see it here. I I feel like it adds a lot of dimension to the room. And also these were just the perfect size. I needed something a bit more petite for this side and also on the other side of the sofa. And they're from Gabby and I really love them. And we probably are in the den as much as we are because it is right off of the kitchen where reluctantly I'm cooking. Again, not one of my favorite strengths, it's my husband's, but I gotta do it. But at least it's in this kitchen, right? I guess I really can't complain. As you can see, this kitchen has a pretty big island, and so I ended up putting like a pretty big vase that really never moves, although I do kind of change what's inside of it. But I love the texture that the ferns, the assortment of ferns that I use. And now I just have some white orchids to make it like a nice clean look. We love to bake cookies in here, whether it's for Easter or Valentine's Day or Christmas. Julia's godmother comes over and this is a space that we definitely utilize here in the kitchen, probably the most. Whenever I moved in, the kitchen was actually already designed, and so I feel like I didn't get to put my personal stamp on it. I love how it's clean, modern, but I think if I had the money and my husband said yes, I would probably change out the tile, the backsplash, to something a bit more like handmade, probably something with a little bit of pattern on it. But I love this space. I feel like it has a ton of storage and I love the light that shines in and also that these windows are operable. So for the glass shelving, I actually wanted to keep it with the monotone of like the white that you find in this space. And so here, I pretty much have our everyday dishes, which is probably different than what most people would use. They might put their crystal or their china, but here I wanted something pretty practical. And so I just have my white dinner plates, salad plates, things like that, things that I can easily reach to. And then randomly I have all of my china in the drawers that are covered. Maybe they should switch, but I'm constantly grabbing here. And so I wanted this room to be really practical for our family. And at the end of our island, I had these sweet little chairs recovered and actually added this darling little pleat on the edge just to make it, a bit more feminine, because that tends to be my style and how I roll. And over here, this is where Julia has most of her meals. This is her sweet table. I just love the cute little rattan bunny chairs. But this way she feels like she's a part of the whole scene. She also does a lot of arts and crafts. And speaking of arts and crafts, I have this whole little wall dedicated to Julia. Some of it is her artwork, some of it's things that I've did for her whenever I was leaving town as a little treat. But again, this is what brings the personality, the soul of the home. Even though it's not framed or from a famous artist, we still appreciate all of the work that we have posted. And the art that we have here on this wall above Julia's sweet little table is really, again, just pictures of marsh, what I'm typically drawn to. I love that it's a bit more traditional framing, and actually the art is a bit more traditional. I lean toward that rather than abstract. But I just felt these two actually really grouped together, and I just really love how it filled the wall. And I don't know if you've noticed or not, but our kitchen actually doesn't have a refrigerator. It's actually in our bar area, which is really nice, especially when we're hosting, because we're not opening doors and people aren't crowded. But here we have our refrigerator. We also have our wine cooler. And honestly, this wallpaper, if I could create wallpaper, this would be it. It's like white, blues, and greens, trellis, florals. It has me written all over it. I loved it in this area, kind of in this transition area. Again, the light fixture above is from Circa Lighting. I just felt like it fit in this sweet little space, really that helps transition into our morning room. I am constantly inspired by travel. I am constantly inspired by history, architecture. One of the best things about living in Charleston is just the history that we have here, the beautiful homes, the beautiful gardens. I'm inspired by people with style that I follow, like tastemakers. Really, it's just, I look to the beauty in my life. And our morning room, also called the mud room. Morning room sounds a little bit better, but this is pretty much our drop zone. It leads to our garage, so when we come home, we have cabinetry that we put all of our coats and shoes and all the things. And then these are actually storage, and I'm not gonna open them because if I would, just a lot of toys would fall out, so I will save you. But again, it's just a practical room. These are the botanicals that I've had left from Mary Margaret Monsi's. Again, she hand painted these. I loved them. I felt like they added some color in here. And then also we added this custom kind of cabinetry piece. We love having a coffee machine in our home. Our first house that we ever moved into, we actually bought foreclosure, and randomly it had a coffee machine, a built-in coffee machine. And we were like, wow, this is amazing. So we've always included this in our budget from our homes that we've lived in since then. It really is a game changer if you're thinking about it. But yeah, and what I did was I added just a little bit of a beadwork of an accent color, just to make it, again, a bit more soft and just give it, you know, something for your eyes to be drawn to. What I like about this room are the really high ceilings and also how it's just really all of the molding and the woodworking, I think, gives this room its detail. And then we ended up finding this really lightweight chandelier. I feel like it's a bit of a farmhouse style, which typically isn't my vibe, but when I saw it, I thought that it really kind of fit the room perfectly. And the morning room, or the mud room, whatever you prefer to call it, and our den actually both open up to our side porch. So in this room specifically, I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. This is gonna be an area where we lounge, come out here and have like wine in the evenings, whatever it is. And then we realized that we actually wanted to use this room a lot more for dining. So when we had guests over, we wanted to be outside, but we also loved how it was screened in. So we were shielded from all of the mosquitoes that we have here. So we actually ended up turning it into another area that we could have dining. This table is actually reclaimed wood from a church in Louisiana. It was after the hurricane hit, and it's actually a pecky cypress wood, which really you wouldn't think that this texture works well for a table because you have things that get in and out of the grooves. But I've always gotten the most amazing feedback whenever people come over, and I love how they did like a really light whitewash on it, and I just really love it in this space against, you know, kind of like the pale gray floors. I typically don't have a green thumb, but this fiddle fig has lasted 2 years, so I'm pretty proud of it. We had a freeze this winter, and I thought that she was a goner, but she came back, so I feel like she really loves this space, so just gonna leave her there. And then the other thing that I have out here is this sweet little bar cart. Again, this is from Mainly Baskets. It actually matches the furniture that you saw on my front porch. I just had it painted in a custom pharaoh and ball color. And out here, it really just holds all of my kind of gardening things. Also my mahjong tiles that I love. I don't know if any of you are into mahjong right now, but it is quite the scene in Charleston. But again, I just come out here, I grab my watering cans. Typically, Julia has one too out there, and we go and water our flowers in the afternoons. So the ceiling in this room and also on the front porch actually has a really pale blue color on it that is pretty kind of typical in the South, especially in Charleston. It's supposedly to keep bugs and evil spirits away. But I just love how it adds something of a little pop, kind of like my dining room. Remember the ceiling was light blue? You know, have to bring it into every room. Not really, but definitely just the porches, you'll see a lot of the paint blue ceilings. When I think about a home that has soul, I really think about what pieces are in there that may be heirloom pieces. So for instance, we have a grand piano that has been in my husband's family for years and years and years. And whenever I look at it, I think of, it's just a storied piece. So I think of his history, his family. I love antiques. I really feel like it grounds the room. But I also love, you know, things that are happening in our life now. Like in my kitchen, there's a wall of my daughter's drawings. You know, again, she's in 4, so it's just some color. You really can't see some of the images that she's making. But I just think about, you know, really what really represents your family and how you can sprinkle them in here and there, whether that's in modern times, like my daughter's drawings, or whether that is a piece that has been passed down from years to years. The thing I love about this room is I mentioned that it's all screened in because we can have all of the doors to the house open and not have to worry about mosquitoes and things like that. But it also leads out to our side yard. So our outside area is probably the cleanest that you've seen it, because typically behind me there is a bounce castle that my daughter is sitting on while I'm out here trying to do work or reading a magazine. But here we really just wanted a space that flowed well from the inside of our house because we have such beautiful weather here in Charleston. We have this sweet little lounge area. The furniture is from Harbor Classic, which is founded here in Charleston, South Carolina. And then we use this outdoor dining table quite a good bit. Honestly, in the mornings I come out here and work on my laptop and fix my morning matcha. It's not as bright yet, and in the mornings there really aren't as many bugs, so it's a good time to take advantage of this beautiful space. Because this area gets so much sunlight, as you can see, we wanted to add a sweet little umbrella moment. And here we ended up bringing in the color that you found in the den, specifically if you remember my like aqua sofa. So we wanted to pull that color out here. This is a custom umbrella. Of course, I wanted it to be in scalloped. I really wanted double scalloped, but they said no. So this is what we got. But again, it's just nice because we can use it over the dining table that we have out here, or if we're working on doing some work out on the sofas, we can just easily move it since it's on wheels. If you have an outdoor space that you're looking to furnish, for me, it's a little tricky, but you can definitely find pieces that will help and weather all of the elements that you experience. I would definitely recommend teak, which is what I've used here for the coffee table, the side table, and the dining. I would look into finding fabrics that are maybe sunbrella or performance or something that does well with direct sunlight. So for me, I really love outdoor and the gardening and the front porches. And so I do spend a lot of time out here. It's obviously why I started Art of the Entry. You know, finding beautiful elements that really kind of add value to your curb appeal that are timeless. A home to me is a home well lived. And so I love to see rooms that are actually being used. I love to see my daughter ride her little scooter through the kitchen. I love to, you know, have her running and playing with a ball, or whether it's my husband playing the piano in the mornings with the window open. I really just think it's utilizing all of the spaces and just cherishing the memories that we have and that we are making.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.